Welcome, 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 everybody across the world, across the nation, wherever you are. This is not Coast to Coast AM, and I am not George Norrie. Welcome, everybody. This is our little soiree, and hello to Amy, and hello, Bart, and what are we doing today?
Did you unhighlight Bart this time?
I just did. Thank you for reminding me.
I was just about to say that. We are.
Awesome. We are in business tonight.
Doing
well.
We are as sharp as a beach ball and half as fun.
What's been up with y'alls?
Not much with me. I kept being reminded yesterday because I completely forgot that it was my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Amy. And you know what? Skype is supposed to give me a notification unless you failed to fill out the proper forms.
Well, I filled out the proper forms incorrectly.
Well, then you can expect a happy birthday at the wrong
Absolutely. That's what I figured.
But for now,
you should have gotten a notice on New Year's.
But for now, happy age day.
Yeah, if you want to be dishonest about your age, then changing the birth day isn't the way to do it. You got to do the year.
No, I know. Okay. I have no problems with letting everybody know that I'm
27.
61.
Whoa, 61.
61. Yes, I am.
That's 19 upside down.
So you've actually been all the way around the block, as they say.
And then some.
Well, listen, I want to say this before I forget, because I've done it 4 or 5 weeks in a row. I keep meaning to remind people and ask people, please go over and subscribe to Bart's channel. He needs a few more subscribers, and we'll get him up to 100 so that he can host some shows in the event that I cannot, because as it stands at the very moment, Miss Amy has another strike because she's such a bad girl.
I know.
And right now, Amy cannot host a show. So if I have to leave town for any reason, for work or for whatever, if I got to go rob a bank or whatever I do when I leave town, then we're going to need somebody else to host the show. And right now, nobody can, because Amy's in the penalty box and Bart is still green behind the ears. So let's get his numbers up over 100. I think that's the rule. You have to have 100 to host shows, host hangouts. Is that correct? I keep hearing that. I don't know.
I didn't know that was a rule, so I wasn't really, asking for subs. But that, please sub, and so then you'll hardly ever get bothered by notifications because I don't upload a whole lot. So.
Yeah, that's another thing, Bart. We've talked about this. You need to start producing videos on your geometry that you're working on.
Absolutely, you should.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm playing with an idea right now, which is to do sort of science and art, to redo your experiment that you recently posted using the magnets and the coins.
Oh,
I'm absolutely fascinated with that.
So you want to redo it, huh? Did I screw something up?
No. I just science, the scientific method, right? Somebody has runs an experiment. They show it to you. Is it reproducible? So it happens to be reproducible because I have the same kind of magnets that you have, Actually, yours are larger than mine. Mine are small. But I got
How
a lot.
how many do you have?
I haven't counted, but
well, I mean, do you have a big stick of them like I was? Because you're going to need. Let's see. I used, I think, maybe 20 in that experiment. I didn't count them.
Yeah. I think I got like about 200.
Oh, you got plenty there. Yeah, I can tell.
But they're smaller, right? But so there'll be a variation on the experiment where, and if anybody wants to know what I'm talking about, go to Aaron's channel, and it's the 1 or 2 videos before this one in his videos.
It's diamagnetism and gold recovery.
Yep.
Yeah. And so I also want to then do some variations using those spherical buckyball magnets. See if that makes any difference. Because you can do you can make these into a surface as well. Actually, there's several different ways to make surfaces with these. One is that standard sort of grid pattern, and another one is a close pack hexagonal pattern. So I want to see what happens when I slide coins that way. And then the other thing I'm excited about is that I have a lot of different coins. I actually inherited a coin collection, so I can do a lot more variation. Like I thought, one thing I was interested in what you did was when you used the penny, Aaron, when you used the penny, did you use one of the new ones, or did you use a pre-82 penny? Because they have different copper.
Yes, they do.
Different amounts of copper in them.
I didn't look at the date on it.
Yeah,
but
so I've actually been putting them. So like a copper penny, a pre-1982 penny, is actually worth 2 cents.
Yep.
Oh,
because of its melt value, right? Because it has it's almost all copper, whereas these new ones, I don't know.
It's almost completely copper. It's zinc. Zinc is in the middle, and it's copper clad.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's right. Ex-banker Amy. So it's zinc in the middle, and then copper clad. Okay. What about these new ones? What are these new ones made of?
I discovered that by accident, just being a nerd and playing with magnets.
Oh yeah.
I originally bought that set of neodymium hockey puck shaped magnets because at the time, several years ago, I was heavily looking into some of these free energy devices, particularly the Perendev motor, which is that rotating, it's a 3 rings, a magnet around 3 separate rotors, and then there are an outer stators on each side. And there's some really, really amazing free energy devices that people are making out of magnets, and the Perendev motor seems to be the most promising. But I wanted to prove the concept to myself. As Bill Cooper says, listen to everyone, read everything, and believe nothing until you can prove it. So with not a large investment, I bought some magnets, and I made a wooden mock-up with a rotor and a stator, and I had magnets mounted on each, and they were adjustable angles. And then very simply, I used a rubber band, and I tied a few knots in the rubber band, and I would use the rubber band to pull the rotor. I'll use my camera, and I'll have to, okay, I've got a magnet here on the stator, and I've got a rotor with a magnet that will go either direction, and they were very close. Okay, I had them mounted real close. So basically, I would tug one direction with the rubber band, and then I would tug the other direction, and I was using magnetic shielding, and I could tell by how far the magnet stretched before one magnet would snap past the other. And so basically I proved to myself, because it was quite obvious that the magnet or the rubber band had to stretch a lot farther, telling me that it took more pressure on one direction than it did going the other direction because of the magnetic shielding. So basically I verified it myself. I made a little simple mock-up, and now what I need is to I need to get in with a machine shop, because it's going to require some very specific angles, and it's going to require some fairly expensive machine work to get one produced. But that's the reason I had those to begin with. And I just, you know, tinkering like kids do, playing with magnets, I discovered by accident that I made this, you know, made that slide like I did in the video. And so was sliding things down it just for fun. And a damn penny, damn if a penny, a nickel, I mean, a penny, a quarter, and a dime, all containing copper, would literally, like the video shows, it's just like 10 times slow motion, it would slide down. So what I knew about copper, just being a contractor and mechanic all these years, you know, when you pass either copper through a magnetic field or a magnetic field through copper, it induces electric current, which instantly creates a magnetic field. And so basically it's an instantaneous reaction, and the magnetic field in the copper causes an attraction to the other field magnets, the permanent magnets, and that's why you have the slowdown. But obviously, like I show in the video, copper is not magnetic. So if you just use a magnet to try to pick up a piece of copper, that doesn't work at all. So I also do.
That's what is intriguing about that demonstration is you go, okay, watch, I do this thing this way, and look, nothing's happening. Then I configure it this way, and watch as this unexpected thing happen, right? You would not expect that to happen just because of this different configuration. And yet here it is acting out this way in the real world. And then that leads to further questions about what is going on. Do I understand this? Is this understandable? What does science say about it? What do electricians say about it? What would electrical engineers say about it? What would the explanations for why this is? You know, what would they be? What would the interpretations be? And then maybe the interpretations don't work as well if you don't consider things like an electrical universe or ether theory or something like that. Then you're off and running studying that stuff. So yay for learning, and also yay for magnets. Magnets are fascinating.
Yeah, no kidding.
They are.
And I was telling my friend earlier today, who was also interested in the subject, that the word for this phenomenon is called diamagnetism. So I looked up dia. Let me see if I can find it again, because it's not popping up like it did last time. There it is.
Yeah, like dipole too.
The prefix dia, D-I-A. Let me see if I can find the definition I had the other day. A prefix occurring in long words from Greek, like diabetes and dialect, and used in the formation of compound words to mean passing through. And then there's another example of diathermy, and then quotations, it means thoroughly or completely.
Diuretic.
And then there's the next example is diagnosis, and the meaning of that is going apart. And then dialysis, and the meaning for this is, hang on, let's check it out, because here's okay. the kicker right here is the other definition, another meaning of dia is opposed in the moment, as in diamagnetism.
Ah.
Okay. Opposed.
What about
in
dialectic?
The moment.
Dialectic sort of sounds kind of in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and here's, I think, where language gets tricky. You can have a word or a prefix that actually somehow embodies a definition and the opposite of its definition, or perhaps a skew on its definition. Because, like, I like to break things down to like the simplest possible terms. And so when you start doing etymology, you realize that there's really not that many orientations that we're talking about. We're talking about, you know, either above, below, to the side across, about, around, through, and maybe maybe 4 or 5 others, but then that's it. Otherwise, it's pretty redundant in terms of what kind of behaviors it's describing.
Yeah, well, I thought that was really, a nice addition to the lesson of diamagnetism, particularly the meaning that describes opposed in the moment, and the very first one is passing through. I guess this is a medical term. Maybe it's diathermy, or I don't know if that's a medical term or not. But the two meanings that stuck out to me are passing through, because in my example, I dropped the penny, the quarter, the dime through the magnetic field, and it slows down. Also with gold and silver. That's the point of the video, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
they're diamagnetic. And so I recently learned the term diamagnetism. I knew the phenomenon. I understood the properties of copper and magnets, electric motors, and things like that. But when you look up the word dia and it says passing through, and I'm talking about diamagnetism, and then the other meaning is opposed in the moment, it's absolutely appropriate name for that phenomenon. And on the note of dia and other words associated with the prefix dia, here just sort of jumped out at me as just sort of a side thought. I'm looking at the word diagnosis, and the meaning for dia in this instance is thoroughly or completely.
Mm-hmm.
That's the meaning of this prefix in that context. So when your doctor gives you a diagnosis, he better be thorough and complete, or we're going to court. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Now that I know the real meaning of the word diagnosis, because we're talking thoroughly and completely, dia and gnosis, which is knowing.
Right.
So
it makes me believe that there's actually no such thing as a doctor being able to give a diagnosis.
Right. Yeah. Based on that definition, sure.
Exactly.
That sort of demanding of a definition, but I could actually also see how the other definition applies, which is the doctor with his mind, his gnosis, should be able to see through you and see what's wrong in the sense of somehow be able to pick up on symptoms that are not evident on the surface or in immediate behavior, and so somehow be perceptive enough to see through that down into something, let's say wrong with your liver, right? Liver spots showing up on the liver is like, that's when it's too late, right? But a doctor should be able to, look inside you without having to look inside you.
Well, I'm thinking a smart doctor, if you try to give him hell over that specific meaning, he's going to open up Google and he's going to point to the other definition that says passing through. And he's going to say, hey, you're just passing through here. Yeah. What do you want from me, kid?
Yes. Yes.
That's why I said diuretic. Just passing through.
Passing through.
Yeah, just passing. Move along, son. So what's up in the news, guys? There seems to be a bunch of other small things in the news that we have the Doomsday Clock has been changed. And I got a heads up on this. Somebody left me a comment, and I don't remember exactly who, on our last, I think it was the last promo show or something like that. Telling me, and I meant to bring this up last week about the Doomsday Clock. I might want to spend another minute going over just to clarify a few things on the ozone topic that we finalized last week's show with. Flu epidemic is going around. Everybody seems to be sick. I don't know if you guys heard this, but here's a story I might want to cover. The 11-year-old girl with the hijab who's was supposedly attacked by some man with scissors, tried to cut her hijab. You guys remember that story?
Nah.
You hear about that story?
I guess I missed that one.
All right, well then we'll cover that one. We got cloned monkeys and human embryos. The Doomsday Clock. I don't know if you know this, but Facebook has invented a new unit of time, and I definitely want to cover this because this is sort of fits into the bigger picture. Maybe we'll jump to that one next.
Yeah.
This month is January. We've already had a supermoon this month. Today is the January 26th. So in 5 days, we will have a blue moon, which is 2 full moons in 1 month. Okay, that's very rare. So this month we're going to get a blue moon. And at the same exact time, I think it's going to be a blood moon.
Yep. You know, it just occurred to me we should be expecting all kinds of things that rarely happen to be hitting this month.
So yeah, it was January 1st.
Once in a blue moon.
We had we've got a lunar. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bart.
That's in January. January has that characteristic of the two moons, full moons.
This January does. It's not typical.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
I was about to have a freak out because I thought you might have been talking about February, and it would be like, how would it even be possible in February?
Yeah, I don't think it ever happens in February.
Yeah. We've got a lunar eclipse coming up this year.
Maybe though on a sorry to interrupt, but maybe on a day where February is 29 days. That's actually interesting to look up. Has February ever had a blue moon, or a blue moon pair? Okay, sorry, Aaron.
Actually, Jerry Cthulhu is in the chat, and Jerry is more in tune with the moon, I suppose, because he does his Moon Files videos where he uses T90X and films the moon. There's a lunar eclipse coming up, and I don't know if it's on the January 31st.
I think it is the 31st.
Okay.
Let me double check.
I think that's why it's a blood moon, because this month on January 31st, we have our second full moon, which makes it a blue moon, and it's also going to be a blood moon. And if I'm not mistaken, it's the blood moon is because of the eclipse. So it's like a major lunar event happening this month, and maybe Jerry Cthulhu will. Lunar eclipse is on
January 31st.
On this full moon. Yeah, so he said, on this full moon, he thought. So yeah, we're going to have a full moon lunar eclipse, which will be a blue moon, blood moon, lunar eclipse, all in one shot on January 31st. Amazing time to be alive. So yeah, trifecta, Jerry, absolutely.
Just doing a little color mixing here. Blue plus red is purple. Is anybody calling it a purple moon?
I will. I like purple.
I saw that.
if nobody has figured that out about me.
It's a blue moon and it's a blood moon, so it's going to be a purple-ish moon, I suppose.
Things are about to get loony.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll be here all week.
Speaking of loony, that's where the word comes from, is loon.
I know, Aaron.
Yes.
I know you know this.
Luna.
You're just saying that on Jerry's behalf in case he doesn't know.
No. Yeah. Probably not so much Jerry. Jerry's in tune. But there's always new people floating about these days, so you got to keep them in mind. So, you guys, last week, I'm probably going to do a screen share here in just a second. Let me go ahead and take care of that. I want to show you guys, just for the fun of it. Last week we were talking about, at the very end of the show, I brought up the ozone hoax.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yesterday I had a sync around that, which was ozone came up in both Futurama, where they went back in time, and they're coming upon Earth, and they're like, what's that ozone layer on the Earth? right? As if in the future there is no ozone layer. And then ozone comes up again in the X-Files later on that night. Or I guess it was Wednesday night. So.
Oh,
Wow.
it did.
Yep.
Well, I may have to go and get my mouse because right now my touch screen does not want to actually make the screen share work this
You're
time.
probably too sweaty. You're sweating over there.
Hey, I'll tell you what. Why don't you guys, somebody do a screen share and just do a Google search for the question, does UV light create ozone? And just see what comes up. So anybody, whoever first come first, I don't care. Or I can go and get my mouse and plug it in. You can wait for me. But anyway, just do a simple search for and ask Google the question, does UV light create ozone?
I think everybody knows that it may or may not.
I'm going to have to go get my mouse because there are some other things I want to share. Give me 2 seconds.
Okay. I have nothing to say. Airplanes create ozone.
I'm sorry, I had myself on mute.
Jerry says airplanes create ozone. Is that true, Jerry? I want to start a YouTube show called Stump Jerry, where
I like it.
Jerry has all the answers.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I should click on here. How UV light makes ozone.
Let me just highlight you and yeah, just scroll down the list a little bit. Expand that out. Can you blow that up just a little bit?
This is all I've got, hon. Maybe I don't know. No, that's bookmark. I could do it in Firefox. I can your percentages of display, but not that I mean, I'm sure there's some way in Google.
Well, just read a couple of those there.
Quora is pretty good for a quick answer sometimes.
Okay, wait a minute. Where's Quora? My computer is just not behaving very.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you had it.
Just look at practically any one of those. You don't even have to open them up. Just read the little blurb below the headline there. Except, in fact, if you can find it, there's one from the FAA. It's the only one that disputes everybody else. When it comes to, there are ultraviolet air purifiers, and how UV light makes ozone. So the bottom line is that we were told, like in the 80s and the 90s, that we're all going to die because we're all spraying too much hairspray and aerosol deodorant. So it was our fault, of course. It wasn't the huge factories belching out the horrible toxic shit they belch out all day long in the gazillion of tons.
Also that they misread the data. Or misinterpreted the data. Yeah. Just an aside here. I think the double slit experiment came up last week. I wanted to throw something in the ring around that, which is, if I'm not mistaken, there's something like 14 interpretations of the double slit experiment. So when we talk about the double slit experiment, I think that we can't just frame it as a done deal kind of thing. That the experiment says this. So that's
somebody left me a comment.
There's the most popular interpretation, which is that wave particle duality photon interpretation, but there are actually others that make more sense in the light of newer perspectives on theory of everything. What does reality space actually look like? Ether space, that kind of stuff.
All right.
So the interpretation is important.
All right. Well,
do you want me to read? It says when UV light hits an O2 molecule, whack, it splits homolytically to form to oxygen-free radicals. These oxygen-free radicals then attack other oxygen molecules to form O3, ozone.
Right. Yep.
So, yes, the answer is it does.
That's
Shall
right.
I stop? Do you need me to keep sharing?
Yeah, well, you can just scroll a little bit just for, in case anyone's sitting in front of their computer watching, they can read a few of those or look them up themselves or whatever. As I was looking through those myself the other day, there was one of them that the question was posed, does UV light create ozone? And then it was an article about, do the air purifiers that that use UV light to purify, do they create ozone? And the answer and question was from the EPA, and they said no.
Oh, the EPA. Oh, you had said FAA.
Most,
I think
most UV light cleaners are ozone free and will not damage lungs. Yada 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 yada. And I don't know who delivered this answer except by clicking on the links.
That may be true depending on if it's, we're talking about a home device that's UV, depending on because there's UVA, UVB, and there's a UVC, which is basically the direction of the wavelength of light. So it's like if you go to the tanning salon, you're going to get UVB, which, by the way, is bad for you. When last time I went to the tanning salon, it gave me, I got these little tiny red bumps that lasted like 24, 36 hours before they went away. It was like this weird rash. And no, I didn't put on lotion. And then I thought it was weird. And
wait. You went tanning, Aaron?
Years ago, yes. I've been to a tanning booth, yes.
I have never.
Hey, full disclosure, we were going on vacation to Hawaii. I was going to be running around in shorts and a tank top, and I didn't want to look like a tourist. So there you go. I didn't want to look like a pasty-ass tourist. It was the middle of winter. So there. So anyway, yeah, I just wanted to, show a little bit of evidence and documentation for the stuff that we were talking about last week, that the holes in the ozone are always at the poles, and depending on which north or south pole is experiencing its winter is where the holes always show up. And any image you've ever seen is going to show the hole in the ozone. The hole in the ozone is going to be at the pole during winter. So unless somebody can definitively prove that all of the air currents coming from all the major cities where all the people are spraying hairspray and deodorant, somehow those CFCs and some certain air current all somehow accumulate at the pole for some reason only at winter, then maybe I'll look at that data again. But otherwise, I'm calling full-blown hoax on the ozone holes.
You've finally blown the ozone hoax.
I haven't blown anything.
Ozone just layered psyop out of the water. You're only what, 30 years late on that one.
Hey, better late than never.
I'm gonna stop because it's theater, it's struggling.
Okay. No problem.
I'm gonna start working on stopping the gunpowder plot here soon.
Well, I'm going to start working on stopping the Ice Age plot.
Yeah. Actually, I think I misspoke on that. I would say I'm trying to expose the gunpowder plot. Expose. That's gonna my life's work. I think is gonna be what really happened. Guy Fawkes.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so let me see if first I can find the other article. Okay, well I've got that. Let me see if I can get my screen share to work. I've got my mouse. Got my mouse handy dandy. Oh, hey, look at that! It works.
Hey, nice. Last week you were talking about predictions.
Yeah.
I wanted to throw this out there, which is
Be careful, you're on
Nobody's
record.
doing, huh?
Be careful, you're being recorded.
Okay, how come nobody's doing retroactive predictions?
Well, you can be the first, my friend.
I think there's absolute untapped potential there.
That Donald Trump will be the selected one for the presidency in 2000. What was it? 14, 15? I forget. 16. 16.
Amy. Oh, Amy.
I know. I failed on that.
Oh, bad, Amy.
I've lost track of time. What can I say? I'm an old lady.
Well, I'm pretty sure something serious is going to happen on the 11th of September and sometime around 2001.
I thought you were saying March.
No.
Oh, gotcha. Yes.
11th of September. Yeah, I think you might be right. You might be right. Probably in 2001.
I predict.
I hate when that happens, when somebody bounces my own joke back to me and I don't get it. Freaking. It makes me worry. It makes me really wonder about what all's going on in here.
So the Doomsday Clock has been moved.
Woohoo!
Tick tock, tick tock. Oh, look! Let's have a look at the trumpet.
Fear.
I'll tell you what. Let's do the Wikipedia. What is the Doomsday Clock? Let's do that first, so that everybody knows what we're talking about. They were already chatting about this in the live chat there. So the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists is what it is actually. Says this article is about a symbol of global catastrophe. The symbol of global catastrophe is what the Doomsday Clock actually is. It's a symbol of global catastrophe. Now, by the way, this only has something to do with nuclear disaster as a pretext. Yes. It's not specific to nuclear Armageddon per se.
Say nuclear or nuclear?
Nuclear. Okay.
You're related to Bush, aren't you?
You say potato, I say avocado.
I prefer avocado to potato. I thought that I like them both. Anyway, onwards and forwards.
Let's see. The Doomsday Clock is a symbol which represents the likelihood of a man-made global catastrophe, specific to man-made, maintained since 1947. Oh, that special year! God, 1940. So many things happened in 1947.
Here.
That is a big-time special year. We could go on.
Yep.
We could spend 2 hours talking about all the things that happened in 1947, from the transistor to the Roswell to the creation of the CIA, on and on and on and on and on. Anyway, maintained since 1947 by the members of the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, Science and Security Board. The clock represents an analogy for the threat of global nuclear war. Since 2007, it has also reflected climate change, dun dun dun, and new developments in the life sciences and technology that could inflict irrevocable harm to humanity. The clock represents a hypothetical global catastrophe, catastrophe, as midnight, and the bulletin's opinion on, there it is, the bulletin's opinion on how close the world is to a global catastrophe, as a number of, quote, minutes to midnight. Its original setting in 1947 was 7 minutes to midnight, as it has been set backward and forward 22 times. Love that number 2, don't we?
22. Woohoo!
The smallest ever number of minutes to midnight being 2. What? Really? 2?
Yeah,
and the largest, 17 in 1991. They moved it 17 minutes. Wow. Okay. A little knee jerk, a little jumpy, are we, Mr. Scientist? Mr. Scientist. As of January 8, 2018, the clock is set at 2 minutes to midnight. Ooh, they must have changed this already, because it was 2.5 minutes Due to the global threat of nuclear war, the United States not being involved in world leadership roles, wait, what?
What?
And climate change.
Oh, gods.
This setting is the clock's joint closest approach to midnight since its introduction, only matched by that of 1953, which, by the way, was the height of the Cold War.
Yep. Well, it's just a fear device. I think Mad Pie Man said it. Fear.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yes, that's all it's for. Oh my God, they changed it. I mean, all right. I'm done with it.
Sounds like they're using words and clocks to make us think stuff. That might not be.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm beginning to become suspicious of this. But I had to jot this down. Patent pending, by the way. Doomsday potato clocks. I think that these are going to be huge.
I like it. Oh.
Well, if you don't take a fork and poke some holes in it, you're going to have a doomsday potato.
This is true. You
got to let that pressure out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Very true.
So, I don't know. I'll just grab one of these random headlines here and see what they have to say about it, because it's really like you guys already get it, man. You get it. This is fear, fear, fear. No, I don't want to sign up for your shit. Put that away.
You know what? I feel like there's maybe even a deeper joke in the Doomsday potato clock, in the sense of, like, you set up this clock and you're running it with the potato, and it's counting down, and then eventually it'll just stop working because there won't be any more potato juice to power it, and then you'll just forget about it, and it wasn't really saying anything anyway. And then it'll just rot, and then of course you can get another potato. But I feel like automatically you would have to reset the clock then. Otherwise it's not fair.
Fair? As my father told me many times, there's no such thing as fair.
Oh, I think I use the word fair half the time. At least half the time I use it as a joke.
Yes, I know. I'm just saying. I have that visceral, paternally prompted response.
There should be a rhyme that goes with that.
When I hear people say it's not fair, it's like, yeah, well, surprise.
So let's see what the Washington Compost has to say. The doomsday clock is now just 2 minutes to midnight, the symbolic hour of the apocalypse. And to be honest with you guys, I'm actually looking, and I don't know if this is the one. There's an article running around blaming Trump for the whole. It's because Trump hasn't done enough. Like the other one said, that world leaders haven't done enough.
Right.
Let me see. Bulletin of atomic scientists advance a symbolic doomsday clock a notch closer. 30 seconds. Called a grim assessment of the state of geopolitical affairs.
By the way, I just want to let you know, I saw in that headline that midnight was in quotes, right? So I went over to thegematrynature.com and ran midnight, and in Jewish reduced, it's 45, which, who's the 45th president? I also see in LCH Kabbalah 91. Now, there's been 91 coded all over a lot of things recently.
The Queen is 91.
The Queen is 91. We had the 91 Harvest Festival in Las Vegas. And I forget now offhand the other 91s that we've seen. They might come back to mind, but at any rate, 91 is a big number. So,
not that big.
Not too surprised that we're seeing those numbers in this. Anyway, continue.
I was going to say 91's not that big of a number. Like, it's not as big as 100.
Well, you're right.
100's bigger.
It is. But it's bigger than 23.
It is. It is.
So there.
So here's one of the quotes that was given at this press conference. Quote, "There is little doubt that the risk that nuclear weapons may be used intentionally or because of miscalculation grew last year around the globe," Rosner, the Jew, said.
Of course, we put the script in to make it look like this is happening.
The decision to move the clock forward was motivated largely by the bulletin's sense of looming nuclear peril. Let me go back and face the peril. No, it's too perilous. But the danger is compounded by humanity's continued inaction on climate change. Humanity's inaction?
Oh, good grief.
Is it my fault again? What do I need to do to fix climate change? I already recycle. I don't use hairspray anymore.
Yeah, really.
What else would I got? What do you need me to do? Let me see. As well as vaguer concerns. Oh, vague concerns. Oh, okay. They moved the clock. It's kind of vague, but the clouds rolled in. It was Tuesday. We didn't want to get out of bed. We weren't feeling that great, so we just moved it forward because.
We thought we were in a pissy mood. We thought we'd just move it forward.
All the scientists were having bad hair days because aerosol hairspray has been outlawed.
That's right. They didn't have their hairspray. Oh, God.
So I just think it's kind of funny that this doomsday clock is run by a bunch of scientists who have very little to do with politics. They're no more involved in politics than you and I. They're all on the sidelines reading headlines.
I'm going to say that that's probably not true. I think the same ones that own everything else on our planet own those scientists. And they will say whatever they're told to say.
Oh, look, another Jew. Quote, "I think it would be very hard for the clock to not move forward," said Alex Wellerstein, who specializes in the history of nuclear weapons and at the Stevens Institute of Technology. So, okay, look, this doomsday bulletin of atomic scientists, it's headed up by somewhere I think I read it said 15 Nobel laureates. Okay, so they're top scientists in their field. So what?
Well,
but they're the top scientists in fake science.
So this guy specializes in the history of nuclear weapons. And he's the guy. So why? Just because you're specialized in the history of nuclear weapons doesn't make you an authority on whether or not we're any closer to actual nuclear war.
Well, Oh, okay, Aaron, you gotta back off that one just a smidge. Like, if that's what the guy studies, then but sort of by definition.
Wait, are you joking?
He's a better authority than the average Joe. I'm just defending the.
Are you being sarcastic again?
No,
because honestly, we're talking about a guy who specializes in the history of nuclear weapons. The history of nuclear weapons has absolutely nothing to do with whether or not we're actually closer to someone sending an actual nuclear bomb and starting a nuclear war.
I agree.
Just knowing the history.
Say that it could.
No.
Well, I'll take a guy who knows.
I could see that if he knows the history, he would recognize signs that led to, what went down, and might be able to therefore the current situation. But by the same token, since we know it's all fake, yada yada BS, it doesn't really matter what his credentials are.
Yeah, let's just call it Trump's.
Sure, and I think I made that point, which is these are the top leaders in fake science, right? So what's the value of that? But I'm really still intrigued by this. Like, there actually are no nuclear weapons possibility. Just because you see a big giant explosion somewhere doesn't necessarily mean that was a nuclear weapon.
Yes, well, I have looked at some of the footage of presumed tests,
Right.
and you sit there and you watch these what really look to me more like little models being put away.
Yeah. Some of them are certainly
and
models.
you have to sit there and ask yourself, well, where is this camera located that it doesn't have any effect on the camera? No, I've got problems with that.
Yeah. No, you're overthinking it, Amy. You're reaching reasonable conclusions. We can't have that.
I know. I'm guilty as charged. Oh dear. Anyway, yeah. So I don't know where to place the probabilities on nuclear weapons, but I keep coming back to the idea that if there were a group of people who wanted everything that we believed to be wrong, then creating the illusion of this horrific thing would serve definitely towards that purpose if they could convince us it's real and it's not.
Yep. That's
and so I, and it does marvelously to add to fear, right?
Yep.
Because golly gee, they can put up a clock and say, "Oh look, we're 2 minutes from midnight," and
they're scientists. You better believe them. They're scientists.
The people who believe all of it will go, panic, fear. Yep. Oh my gosh, I'm so scared.
I feel like we're in a.
Go ahead, Bart.
Like we're in a new paradigm, though, at least in that when they trot out the scientists, they're not all in lab coats, because that used to be the standard thing, right? Scientists had to have the white lab coat. Medical doctor had to have. Now some of them are coming out, dressed in some sweater vests, and so they're totally blending in better, and. They're being more realistic about their propaganda, so that's good.
Okay, moving on.
I love when you do that, Aaron. I make a comment. Yeah, moving on.
Oh well, I'm not trying to shut you down. I just didn't.
I'm amused by it because every time you do it, like I notice it, and you actually do it a lot. But it's very funny to me.
Oh, okay. Well, look, I'll try not to. I'm really not trying to shut you down.
No, I'm not upset or offended. I'm just saying, it's funny that. But I've gotten that reaction my entire life. Where like, I'll talk for 2 to 5 minutes, and then the response is like, yeah, okay. Hey, how about them football games?
Yeah, we've had enough of your shit.
Contests.
Yeah, we've had enough of your shit. We're changing the subject.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, you go for it. I'm gonna take a break and give you.
Oh, not again, Bart. Jeez, it's only been 10 minutes.
Really?
Don't forget a towel.
I have to go fill out some paperwork.
Or at least a tissue.
You're gonna fill out.
It still ended up being an innuendo.
You're gonna fill out some paperwork, huh? Fill out some paper towel work?
Yes. Oh, gosh.
Okay, so if you guys don't know, Facebook has invented a new unit of time. And I thought this was pretty interesting, and I don't suppose it matters. Gizmodo has a good article. BBC.
I can't leave if you're bringing up that subject. That was the one I was waiting for. I should have left.
Yeah, let's do this, and then we can all take a masturbation break.
All right, sounds good.
Awesome.
Okay, as soon as this thing will load fully, Facebook invented a new unit of time. Neat. Sometimes it's easy to forget that Facebook, as a company, a government agency, a company, is meant to be an innovator in the fields beyond surveillance. Oh, yeah, sometimes it is hard to forget that they're an innovator in the field beyond surveillance.
I agree.
Choice of words there.
Where are you grabbing this article from?
I think this is Gizmodo.
Okay. All right.
But the announcement that it has created an entirely new unit of time is a nice reminder that the ominous company, ominous, good choice of word there, which owns both WhatsApp and Oculus VR, is more than just one of the largest spy apparatuses in history. The new unit of time, announced on Twitter and available via GitHub, is known as Flix. Now keep that word in mind, guys. Flix.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the new unit of time is called a flick.
Okay.
There's a reason for that, and this is the point I want to make when we get into the meat of this article here. It was specifically created to be used by visual effects artists working in the medium of films and TV and video. So I suppose you guys are familiar with the term known as flicker rate.
Yep.
No.
Really, Bart? That's a no? All right. Don't be stuck. Dude, come on.
Okay.
If you're going to be a smartass, make it more obvious.
I was trying to. I said it at the same time that you said it, and then I said no. Maybe it didn't hear.
I just want to mention that I ran Flick in the Gematrinator, and it's 23 in reduced, which is an interesting little number. But the numbers that stand out for me most are in Satanic. It's 216, which is 6 times 6 times 6. And in Trigonal, it's 216, which means it's got double gematria of 6 times 6 times 6. I'm sure that was just a coincidence, though.
Yeah, nothing to see here.
Mm-hmm.
So here in Facebook open source, I guess that's their Twitter account, we've launched Flix, a unit of time slightly larger than a nanosecond that exactly subdivides media frame rates and sampling frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
So somewhere down here, they're going to tell you the number associated. It's like 1 in 700 million. It's just slightly, I think, what, larger or smaller than a nanosecond. Programmers will sometimes work in nanoseconds, but working in nanoseconds can result in some messy math and coding, as they aren't easily converted to standard video frame rates.
By the way, just really quick.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
I put in with a capital F, Flix, plural. And in a single reduction, we have 33. In English ordinal, we have 60. In Francis Bacon, we have 86. And in Frank Baconus, those are the two that take into account the capital letters, we have 119, okay, which we know is 911.
Well, look, we know that Facebook, Zuckerberg, is being credited. I don't think this guy could write a single line of code, from what I keep hearing from people who know more than me.
He's just the actor on the stage.
Yeah, he's like Tom from MySpace, right? There's no such thing as Tom from MySpace.
Right.
It is the smallest unit of time, which is larger than a nanosecond. Somewhere down here, it actually should give me the number. Where was it? I saw it somewhere. Let me go back. But anyway, I found this to be interesting because when you consider the frame rates of TV and video, and particularly the virtual reality, which is being credited to Facebook, the VR headsets.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
When you consider the frame rate and how the brain interacts with those frame rates are designed specifically for the human brain, according to the brain's natural ability to
yes,
basically, flick. That's a good choice of words.
Yep. They
so
harmonize with the brain's vibrations.
So I guess their ability to hypnotize people is not good enough for some reason. They've created a flick. Where did it go? There it is. 1 in 705,600,000ths of a second. And let's look at this BBC article here. Okay. The BBC, your one-stop shop for all things fake news.
Yes, indeed.
The flick has been designed to help developers keep video effects in sync, according to a description on the code sharing site GitHub. A flick derived from frame tick is 1 in 705,600,000 of a second, the next unit of time after a nanosecond. A researcher at Oxford University said that the flick wouldn't have much general impact, but may help create better virtual reality experiences. I'm sure it will.
I am too.
I'm pretty sure that what they've done, if you ask me, with my conspiratorial brain parts, that this is about the ability for their new technology to put you in a deeper or more substantial
and train you.
It's brain entrainment. This is about matching the human brains. I mean, matching it dead on as accurately as they can, the human frame rate, the sampling rate of the human brain.
Right.
Well, they have to sync it up with the G5, so.
Oh, I don't doubt they've got something like that in the works.
5G. No, I'm just looping that back into the larger topic that we talk about, right?
Yep.
So.
Yep.
So how are all these various components, fractal or fractured technologies in the service of a larger projects and larger agendas? And how are they not? Maybe they're stepping on each other's toes. That's worth looking at. I mean, I don't think it's safe just to assume all these technologies that are coming out here are all part of one agenda. Okay. Back to you.
I just think this is an interesting set of quotes here. Very often in academic literature, you have this notion of presence and immersion, he told the BBC, and he is Flick's creator, Christopher Harvath. The second quote is, immersion is the engagement you feel with a computer game. Presence is the notion of your brain feeling that you are there. So I suppose they're one step closer to creating the actual Matrix.
Yes.
Presence is very, very easy to break, he said. I think perhaps a very fixed way of describing these time steps allows for developers to have a bit more flexibility in dealing with latency issues and making sure videos stay in sync. What do you mean videos stay in sync? With what?
The brain, of course.
Yeah.
Well, and internally. I mean, I think that's primarily what he's going to say is that as the processors run the software and run all the feedback loops of you engaging with the software, that all of that continues to be synced up for a fluid on screen, so that becomes fluid, like the way that computer games or TVs or like streaming stuff glitches out. It goes out of, that's because it goes out of sync. I mean, it does it for other reasons, but one of the reasons is it going out of sync, and then goes out of sync, that compounds, and then that comes out as a glitch.
I don't even know how else to frame that.
With the frame rate.
No pun intended there.
Yeah.
I did intend the pun.
I didn't.
I figured it.
Okay, cool. I'm going to be right back.
All right. Well, so there's that story.
Yep.
You know, I think with all the new technologies that are coming out these days, they're just doing everything they can to make sure that when they're ready to turn the switch on, that we are all hypnotized the way they want us.
Oh, I don't doubt that.
Zombified.
Yep. Yeah, they want 100% control of every human being on our planet in the end. And I'm working to make sure that doesn't happen. As most everybody who's listened to me knows. But I'll say it again. Check my playlist on my channel if you want to find out how.
Pardon me for being quiet. I'm just scanning through the chat here.
That's all right. I get to promote my work, which really is the work for humanity. So you could be quiet as long as you want, Aaron. I'll just expounding on how great it is. I mean, the fact that by supporting it turns out to be both service to self and service to others. And there's not much in this world that can offer both. You know? Not much.
Well, yeah, it's a personal choice for every person, I suppose.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying, if we choose to co-create what I suggest we do, it will help every individual that isn't, I mean, it won't really take away from the people who have all the Boku-ness of the universe, but it will give Boku-ness to everybody else. So virtually everybody statistically speaking, it will help everybody on our planet. And which means that it will help you personally, but it will also help everybody around you. So, no, Amy is not in charge in Amy's world. There's no one in charge. It's ethical anarchy in a solutocracy, Jerry. Jerry just put in there saying Amy's world where Amy is in charge. No, the whole point is I want to get it going, and then I'm going to go off and do what I want to do, which I can't afford to do right now because I'm riveted by poverty. So you should watch my playlist, Jerry. It's less than an hour. It really is not a whole lot of watching to do.
Well, my browser.
You should watch my playlist, Jerry. It's less. Oh, we're getting echo. It really is not a whole lot of.
Well, I hope I don't get kicked out. Let me see. Let me make sure that. Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, my computer is starting to glitch on me a little bit. I hope I don't get kicked out of my own Hangout.
Well, I hope not too, because
hang on.
You've got your.
Hang on. There we go. That should do it. All right, I'm just trying to pull up this other article. This other article about cloned monkeys and human embryos.
Cloned monkeys and human embryos.
Mm-hmm. From the trusted news network known as CNN. Monkey see, monkey 2.
Are you going to screen share something there?
Yeah, let me do that. Thank you. There we go. Monkey See, Monkey 2. Scientists cloned monkeys using technique that created Dolly the sheep.
At last.
Oh my goodness.
Are they cheaper? Or are they more expensive? The clones. I figured like it's only a good business model if the clones are cheaper.
I'm just letting this video play here for a second. So it's apparently has worked on 20 other different animals, but not on primates. So now they've finally successfully cloned a couple of macaque monkeys.
You know, the thing that really chaps my tail end is that I am certain that they have been cloning for many, many, many years. Humans.
Yeah.
And
I think so too.
This is to just introduce the idea to the sheep. You know, that, golly gee, we might be able to do it someday. Yeah, right. You've been doing it for a very long time. In fact, somebody was saying that they thought they've been doing cloning since Egypt, which, you know, conceivable. I don't know where I'd place the probabilities on that. But
well, you know, if you're doing research into the Nephilim and shit like that, then you know, you may be inclined to, you know, go that route. But and you know, it's interesting stuff to look into, but until I see some real proof of it, that's all it is a story to me.
Well, yeah, to me it's like in the nebulous probability category, which means I just don't have enough data either way. It's like, okay, maybe, maybe not.
Shanghai scientists created 2 genetically identical and adorable long-tailed macaques. The monkeys are named "Who cares what they're named?" A version of the Chinese adjective "Who cares what." I don't speak Japanese, Chinese, Korean, Mexican, Spanish. Who cares?
Hua Hua and Zhang Zhang.
It's Shanghai. They're doing this in China, obviously. They're not doing it here because you'd have, you know, everybody pulling their hair out by the roots. Oh my God, how unethical. And yet here it is on CNN and everybody reads it and nobody cares.
Yep.
So if they don't care that the Chinese are doing it, then let's go ahead and let's get on the case here.
Well, what's there to care about? It's inevitable, right? And
it's it's inevitable.
Yeah. So it's happening.
If I remember, didn't we? There was such a fuss people created over the original
Dolly
that didn't they pass laws outlawing and banning, and that's why they're doing it in China.
I think a lot of places did, yes.
And that's why I'm reading this article that says Shanghai scientists, not American scientists,
right.
Shanghai scientists did this. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure the cloning has been outlawed in this country. Not to say that it's not being done. You're just not going to read articles.
I think human cloning has been outlawed. I'm not sure about other kinds of cloning, whether that's been formally outlawed. I think it's important to raise the distinction between what's legal and what's lawful. Legal laws change all the time. They go this way and that way. Sometimes, you know, you'll hear about when the law gets passed, but you don't hear about when it's been repealed.
When do they repeal laws? In the legal system.
That was a great effect because you were breaking up as you were laughing.
Seriously.
No. Well, there you
seriously,
go.
When did they repeal them? I mean, okay, there have. I will admit that there have been things that have been prohibited. However, the fact that no many laws are on the book tells me that not a whole lot of repealing is going on.
Well, okay, it depends on how you define repeal as well. I think sometimes a new law is passed that negates some aspect of a previous law, and therefore repeals that law in effect, but is just sort of transferred into another, proactive
right.
law.
Yeah,
So I think it does happen in that respect. But I get your point. I get your point.
I mean, I forget where it is, but apparently there's still a law in the books somewhere that it's illegal to walk down the street with an ice cream cone in your pocket.
Yes.
Now I'm sitting there thinking, why would you bother to pass such a law to begin with?
Yeah, no kidding.
Why not repeal it? I mean, what a stupid law.
I think there might, if I'm not mistaken, that there's a law still on the books from the old days in Arizona, the old cowboy days. There's a law where they can hang you for spitting on the sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. Remind me not to spit on the sidewalk when I'm in that area of the world. You never know. They may just like
Amy, I'm getting a little tired of reminding you to not spit on the sidewalk.
I know. It's just such a bad habit of mine. I'm reminded of the cabaret laws that I think it was Como here in New York brought back, which basically said without a license, you couldn't have dancing in your bar. Okay? Now, that was a law that had been on the books from, a century or two. Yeah, maybe not two, but, long time, and nobody was paying any mind to it. And all of a sudden he said this, and I forget his motivation now, but it's like, oh my gosh. Well, they finally repealed that silly law because, what are you doing? You're moving your shoulders in the bar to the music. That might be dancing.
I know. Hey, what about that chair dancing? When people are just too embarrassed to get up off the chair, but the music makes them want to move.
Right, they're bouncing around in their chair. That might count. They might have.
I don't know. Feels like there's some loopholes in that one.
Hey, this should be fun. Let me read this. This should be fun. How it worked. The SCNT technique has worked to create about 20 different animals, including frogs, mice, rabbits, pigs, cows, and even dogs. But there have been, quote, numerous attempts to clone non-human primate species, but they failed, end quote, said Mumming Poo, an author on the paper. Scientists long thought something in a monkey's genes made the technique unsuccessful. The success of Pooh's team came from several factors, he said. I know we're delving into the juvenile, but this is fun. The team tweaked the SCNT procedure using new technology that helped with the nucleus transfer and the fusion of cells. The team spent 3 years perfecting the delicate procedure. Speed, while performing the procedure, helped, they learned, and pardon me, I skipped a period there. Perfecting the delicate procedure. Speed while performing the procedure helped, they learned, and scientists discovered clones created out of cells from fetal tissue did better than when they did using adult cells. Quote, by optimizing the method, we obtained 79 well-developed embryos and implanted them in 21 female monkey surrogates, Pooh said. That resulted in 6 pregnancies and the births of 2 monkeys in late 2017. They hope more monkey babies will be born soon from the embryos. Well, you know what they need to do is go ahead and go to that clothing store from South Africa and order a bunch of those sweatshirts that say "coolest monkey in the jungle."
Yeah, there you go. That was Mumming Poo, MUMMING, and then POO, right?
Yeah, Mumming Poo.
Okay, 55 in full reduction. That's the number for Satan. 44 in reverse, which is the kill number.
Oh, do any of those numbers reflect Dookie?
Maybe.
It's a 77 in reverse upside down Francis Bacon, which means dreck. It's the Hebrew word for shit.
In Jewish reduce, we do have 47, which is
it's the compass.
The compass number, and Euclid's 47th problem on building a foundation and all that. So, you know, I'm beginning to suspect it is conceivable that Mumming Poo is a fake name. Just a guess, but I'm thinking.
Well, I had not really looked into this myself. I wanted to do this with you guys in real time, but I heard somebody else talking about this, and they were saying that human embryos were also being created. So I'm just trying to see if I can, maybe it's in this article or another article. I don't know.
Yeah, with this cloning procedure. Because I mean, embryos, like there's been fertilization of humans for some time now, right? In vitro fertilization, but it's done missionary style, meaning the technique is classic by now, and this is novel. That's what I mean by that.
They're saying here that this technique can be used because humans are in the primate family. This technique can be used in humans.
You know what? I would do it. I would say sign me up. I would love to have a little clone of myself. That would be hilarious.
The authors say that of the paper they have no intention of trying. Yeah, right.
Not them.
Well, hold on.
Somebody's going to one-up them.
I've got an article here from nature.com, and it's also on NCBI, whatever that is, and it's in a few other places, but it says Chinese scientists fix genetic disorder in cloned human embryos.
Good. There you go. I'll tell you what. Let me undo, and you can share.
Okay, let me bring that up, and let me wiggle over here to share the universe. Come on, computer. I know you don't like this, but
so the folks that are working on this, I'm gonna take a wild guess. I'm gonna think that they are probably of that scientism kind of mind, where they think there's no such thing as the soul. The DNA and the body and the person and the human are all sort of one, and all of that emerges from biology. That sort of materialist reductionist model. So the part with cloning that doesn't really bug me or freak me out is because I think even if you make a clone, the soul is comes from sort of outside and then embodies that body.
The soul is awareness, yes. And you can't have the same awareness in two different locations, or maybe maybe
you can't. Yeah. I think that's when cloning will actually be interesting to me, is when we're actually doing something like that, where we're bilocating.
Yeah, but I'm going to bet that's a ways down the road.
I don't know if it's thousands of years old technology potentially. Then maybe it's time for a retroactive prophecy.
I have the article up here. It's off of Nature, like I said. It was back the 2nd of October of last year, so it's not horrendously in the past. And here it says, a team in China has taken a new approach to fixing disease genes in humans. The researchers created cloned embryos with a genetic mutation for a potentially fatal blood disorder, and then precisely DNA to show how the condition might be prevented at the earliest stages of development. They've messed around with cloned human embryos.
So they've already created and cloned humans, according to that article.
Well, at least the embryos.
Well, yeah, but
what's the difference?
What's the difference?
Well, I mean, I think
a warm box.
Well, it could be argued.
Yeah.
A watering pot and some plenty of sunshine in the kitchen window, and it'll grow.
But I think that this is where you get the letter of the law, the spirit of the law, right? How do you define these things, right? Does birth begin? I mean, does life begin at conception? Does it begin at birth, or does it begin sometime after birth, right? Because in some ways, if the baby doesn't come out unneeding things, like a human baby doesn't come out like an antelope baby, right, or a deer baby, plops up within an hour or faster. I think in some cases, maybe within a couple of minutes, it's standing, it's ready to run away, and it's perfectly prepared to eat, to start eating grass.
Right.
And then maybe it gets some degree of milk from the mom, but could probably survive without that milk. Probably makes it stronger, passes on antibodies, that kind of stuff, if it does drink the milk, but could potentially survive if it were separated, or bambied, as it were. So my the question that I'm bringing up is the idea of, is a human embryo a human? I kind of think that, like, in order to be human, you have to at least get to age 3 or 4.
You have to at least have a social security number and a...
No. That's all. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but that's all layers on top of it. I'm talking like strictly biologically.
No, I'm being a smart ass. Go ahead.
Yeah. To a point.
Can I sneak in with a little smart ass? You can unhighlight me now, Aaron.
Go ahead, Aaron.
I shared and then I'm done.
Except I didn't see it. It didn't pop up, at least for me. Maybe it will on the video.
Yeah, I didn't see anything shared.
I saw it. I saw it when I went back and looked at the show. It didn't pop up initially, but then I went, oh, it didn't take my click. So then
go ahead with your sarcasm. I got 2 things I want to add.
I'm done.
Oh, well, you said you had something sarcastic you wanted to...
No, I was just being...
Okay.
Just being sarcastic about her sarcasm.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's a fun fact, and I just learned this, and it's not important, but it's just a stupid fun fact that it's only slightly related because we're talking about genetics. I imagine Bart is, and I'm going to imagine Amy is not familiar with the movie Gattaca.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, yes. That's one film I actually have watched more than once.
Okay. Can you spell the title of that video or movie?
G-A-T... I can't remember whether there's a double T or not.
There is a double T.
Yeah, G-A-T-T-I-C-A.
A-C-A.
Gattaca. Okay, Gattaca.
Oh,
okay. Gattaca.
Gattaca.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So here's the fun fact. Those letters, G-A-T-T-A-C-A, what are those letters?
The nucleotides.
That's correct. The guanosine and thyrosin, and I'm getting them wrong. I don't know how to pronounce them.
Cytosine, thiamine, guanine, adenine or adamine.
Right.
And then there's also uracil. There's also a 5th one, uracil, which is the one that gets swapped out. I think the U and the T swap out.
Yeah. It's not mine, it's urine. Okay.
G-A-T-T-A-C-A. CA.
Wait. You all know this one. If you're American in the bedroom and you're American in the kitchen, what are you in the bathroom? European.
Not necessarily. I could be. You could be you a doing.
You always poop all over my jokes, Amy.
I do. It's my job.
You might be a scientist. You might be minimum poo.
Oh, good times. See, and Aaron,
hey, we're doing science.
You said that you're not here to entertain. Right. I think we are here to entertain, or at least entertain each other.
Absolutely.
And,
now my sides are hurting.
And our legion of fans. Our legion of fans as well. We love you.
Okay, so the other thing I want to say before too much time rolls on, because in the live chat, they were talking about, Lady Zaga and some other folks were talking about the movie and the phenomenon. The movie is called 13 Grams, where ostensibly someone measured the soul.
21 grams.
Is it 21?
Yeah. Pretty sure.
Well, you can argue with...
Go ahead. Go on.
I think it's Lady Zaga. But anyway, Lady Zaga said it was 13 grams, but you guys can argue that one out. I don't care. The point is, 13 grams is just a smidge under an ounce, which is not a lightweight. I mean, I've held ounce of gold and I've held ounce of other things. I know what an ounce weighs, and I know what a half ounce weighs. So you can physically feel
it's got a bit of a heft to it. Yes.
It's physically noticeable. It's not like holding a napkin or a piece of paper or tissue and going, oh, there's actually weight, even though I can hardly feel anything. You can actually feel it pretty significantly. So my question is, and I don't want to run anybody off. I don't want to put anybody off because, and I'm not poo-pooing the idea of a soul. What I'm curious or what I'm questioning is the validity of this so-called doctor or scientist who says that he measured, a dying patient and noticed a 13 or 21 gram difference. Lady Zaga said you're correct. It is 21.
Yeah.
So, yes, Mad Pie Man.
More than an ounce.
And we'll just leave it there. Yes, Mad Pie Man. We'll leave it there. So my question, I'm really questioning. I'm not questioning the validity of the soul. Okay, I get it. Okay, I'm a spiritual being as well, and there may or may not be a soul. Maybe we're using the wrong word. Maybe we haven't quite even come close to defining what it really is. But I'm really wondering, does anybody actually believe that this spiritual aspect known as the soul actually has physical mass and or weight, which can be measured to the tune of 21 grams? And by the way, 21 is a lot closer to a freaking ounce. So that's considerably more significant than 13 grams.
Yes.
Well, so does anyone believe that your soul actually has measurable weight to that account?
Well, I don't believe or disbelieve anything. But as far as probabilities go, I would say that the probabilities that it would be measured to that extent are extremely low.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what I think. What I think is this is let's say the measurement is correct. 21 it's not ounces, grams of something is now missing. So 28 grams of mass in some form is missing. Now, whether you say it's the soul, and then you go, well, this is what I think of the soul. I think of the soul as weightless. Therefore, it's not the soul. Therefore, this thing is bullshit. Well, then you can sort of like debunk it, but you haven't really accounted for what the 20. I'm saying, let's assume the 21 grams is missing. Like that is verifiable. And let's say that you do it 100 times, and it's between 20 and 22 consistently, right? So it's there. what if, you know, the thing that's not that's leaving is not the soul, but let's say it's the spirit. Okay, now we're into semantics games, but let's
what if
some. Go ahead.
What if it's the parasites?
You could, yeah. Well, I'm thinking, what all could it be? Could it be evaporation? Could it be like suddenly the electrical charge changes, and now there's less? Because I think that this has something to do with gravity and a misunderstanding of gravity. I think that we are electromagnetic beings. And I think a good amount of what we call gravity is us sort of being gravitationally attracted to a lower level, right? So I'm not speaking that well, but and we can come back to that idea. But I imagine what if the thing that's gone is like the charge? All right. If you can imagine an electromagnet that when it has a current running through it, it will pull up a piece of metal, stop running the current through it, and it won't pull up the piece of metal, right? So the thing that leaves, maybe the current, doesn't actually have a whole bunch of mass to it, but the effect of it leaving is this reduction in mass. That's what comes to mind as a potential answer and a potential avenue of exploration for me.
Right. As far as, you know, okay, if indeed we see that there is a consistent loss at that point, how can we just say, oh, well, that's the soul right there?
Well, but
maybe not.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm not assuming it's the soul.
Exactly.
Yeah. The movie is about calling whatever that thing that left is the soul. But you know, that could be wrong. Whatever the word soul means, whatever it properly should be pointing to, well, I'm interested in that thing. Whether we got the word wrong for it, that's to me secondary.
Right.
Yeah. So we agree. We agree.
Yes, we do. I wasn't trying. In fact, I was trying to prop up what you were saying.
Well, me too, by saying that we agree.
To expound, hey, would you agree that Paris is the capital of France?
I would say that that's what most people would say is the case.
Well, good. Then we're back in agreement.
Yeah, I think
you
so.
Screwed up
Today
my joke,
it is.
Amy. You screwed up my joke. You were just supposed to simply say yes. But anyway.
Oh,
okay. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, we're full of bad jokes tonight. Look.
Oh, I got one for you. It's not actually a joke. It's do you spell the capital? I mean, do you pronounce the capital of New Orleans of Louisiana, New Orleans or New Orleans?
I pronounce it the way the Cajuns do, Nolans.
That's how I pronounce it, Nolans.
Oh well, because I pronounce it Baton Rouge.
Ah. I should have known that. I used to have all the capitals memorized when I was a kid.
Hey, that's a good one, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, I got one for you, Bart. Real quick, just for fun, because we're on a roll here tonight. If YES spells what?
Yes.
What does EYES spell?
Use.
Tick tock, tick tock. Right. You want to try again? What does EYES spell?
EYES. Eyes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I got crossed up because I knew that joke, or I knew that little riddle, and yeah.
All right.
I get my Y's and my W's.
All right. Well, look, I wanted to expound on something you said earlier about the potential for evaporation, maybe accounting for the weight that had. Well, let's assume that doctor scientist was wholeheartedly telling the truth, and he measured 21 grams at the time of somebody's death. What I have not heard is any follow-up science. I've not heard anyone else perform the same test, which would indicate actual science, you know, repeatable by anybody anywhere. But let's just assume that it was true, that this doctor, he measured someone at the time of their death and he recorded 21 grams suddenly missing. First, you mentioned evaporation. I can't see evaporation being a factor unless the doctor went home, had lunch, spent the night with his mistress, and came back 3 days later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then took a measurement. However, what I wanted to say was, I'm not sure how to approach this, but we do know that when people die, their bowels and their bladders loosen. And so maybe the dead person leaked a little urine that dripped on the floor that accounted for 21 grams, maybe?
That could easily be.
Yeah, maybe they noticed it and ignored it, or maybe they didn't notice it and thought, oh my God, we measured something here.
Yes, I think that's the most obvious sort of avenue. I imagine that they might not have made a movie if they sort of just double checked those things.
Wait.
But then
wait.
Wait.
Did you just say you can't imagine they would make a movie unless it was?
No, then I backtracked immediately. I realized what I said. And I was just talking.
Have you seen the movie on Boston bombing?
No, I can't. Is that with?
No, I can't either.
Don't go there.
Is that with Marky Mark? Is Marky Mark in that one?
Yeah, and Marky Mark is also on Deepwater Horizon too. He's the
yes.
And you know they're making another movie, 1517 to Paris.
Yeah.
Those douchebags that supposedly, they're making movies of.
I don't even know that. I don't even know that story.
Just real quick.
And that's how this thing works, right? It's that one slipped by me, right? Suddenly there's going to be this movie,
and you're going to believe it because you didn't know.
And then maybe I'll go to my buddy's house. He will have rented it or Netflixed it or whatever, and then I'm watching it, and that's my first exposure to it, and I go, oh, okay, well, that must be true because they made a movie about it.
Right, that's how it works. It's exactly how it works.
Everything in the movies is true. Don't you know that?
You know, Amy, that's funny. It's funny you should say it that way, because how many times have we ourselves in the truth community used movies to prove our point, saying, look, they're telling us right there. So how many times have we said that there's more truth in movies than there is in the news? We've said that.
Well, yeah, we've said that, but the difference there is that when you see a movie present some scenario that at the time it first comes out, everybody thinks, well, that's an interesting mental construct to present. And then years later or months later or however long later, that exact same scenario presents itself, quote, in real life, unquote, i.e. in the news. Then you have to sit there going,
Yeah. You know, I was thinking this ridiculous movie that's coming out about this train, about the 2 or 3 guys that stopped the terrorist on the train, the 1517 to midnight or Paris. They actually are using the actual characters, the actual people that supposedly were involved. And I was thinking to myself, you know, because they're playing themselves, they're not getting actors. And I was thinking to myself, you know, well, they actually are getting actors, and actors with experience, because they're fucking crisis actors.
Exactly. I can tell you for an absolute fact that if they were to do a movie about a real, honest, true, guaranteed they would not get in the event play themselves. There's no way that you can expect just your average Joe to how to themselves, you know. Just wouldn't work. But you get people who've acted the part before, and now they get to act it again. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, the
stuff.
script is already written. All they had to do was hand it over to Clint Eastwood and get some camera people, some lighting people, and somebody to go, ah, la 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 la, Akbar, and there you go.
Yep. Special effects here and there, and you're on your way. Oh, jeez. You know.
Aren't they also putting out some movie about like, oh, well, you knew what happened on 9/11, but do you know what happened after? And it's this elite team that goes in on horseback. Have you seen this shit?
No.
Oh yeah. And it's like this elite team of Marines or Rangers or whatever, and we're going on the this happened, the terrorist attack happened. Now we're going in to do our mission, and then the next scene is like, we're doing what? We're going in on horseback. Yep.
Well, you want to hear?
If you've missed this, you got to look it up and see what this thing.
Drop me a link in Skype. Drop me a link in Skype.
I don't even want to look at it. All right.
I don't know that I want it either. Oh my gosh.
So, do you want to have another laugh regarding the Las Vegas shooting?
Rocket.
I'm not sure if you guys or anyone listening, I suspect several may be subscribed to Charles Walton channel. He's a journalist. He's an actual journalist with like some actual credentials, not much, but some. He's acquired some press passes to a few conferences and things like that. So he's actually not just a YouTube researcher. He's an actual, kind of, sort of journalist. Not a very good one in my opinion, but
yeah.
His channel, he's got like 58 or 49,000 subscribers. So he's not doing too bad.
Right.
One of his latest videos, and I don't think it's the only time he's mentioned this, but he's now peddling the idea that aliens, that there's some alien, like actual extraterrestrial alien aspect, like that they were searching for some. God, maybe I'll just play the damn video. It's fucking ridiculous.
That's what they were looking for in ancient Sumeria. Is that what you're?
No, at Mandalay Bay hotel room.
Oh, at Mandalay.
Oh no, not really. Oh.
Okay. All right. Was it? There's another. I haven't actually watched this. I guess it's a series. It's called Everything Is a Remix. And my buddy recommended it to me. I thought I'd throw that out there, and if anybody wanted to take that concept and see where that leads them. But I think I've been thinking about art and art making for like 20 years now, in terms of that everything is just a remix of everything else. So what gets me is like how easily titillated people are by some sort of reconfiguration of old concepts. Like, oh, it's brand new. No, not really. You just took this and this and this and put it together and made a new thing. No big deal. Not that novel.
All right. Well, I've got this video pulled up. First thing I want to, oops, didn't mean to do that. I want to screen share real quick, and I want to show you first a comment, my reply, and then Charles actually showed up and had some shit to talk, but you got to see this. So first you get the premise. This guy's peddling the idea that there's this alien aspect to the Las Vegas shooting. So hopefully I am screen sharing. Yes, you guys can see this.
Yep. I can see
Yes.
it.
All right. Well, I tell you what, I'm gonna run to the little boy's room, and you guys have fun reading this because he. There you go. Read that, and I'll be right back.
Okay. No, seems like a conversation.
Yeah, I got to use the bathroom too. So,
Okay. You know what I want to? I'm going to screen share. Oh, do I need Aaron to click me over if I want her to screen share?
yeah, because he's
Because he's the master controller. Okay.
Yes.
Well, let's see. I guess I'll you go ahead and I'll cover for you.
Okay, you
Okay.
take the show there. I'll be back shortly.
I'll just look in the chat, see what anybody's talking
Notice the
about.
straw man.
Oh, he's back. Okay.
Notice the straw man argument he used to come back. Guys, you still with me?
Yeah, I'm here.
He says, LOL, if you knew the truth, you would be one of those that could not accept it.
Right.
You are the reason the government does not want to disclose all the info about aliens and UFOs. That's a shame. Wait.
Yeah.
As you can tell by my reply, don't talk to me like you know me.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, just by this person above me that
Was he replying to you or him?
one or both, it doesn't matter, because all I said, this person, Mamadon 2012 said, Charles, you've lost all credibility. And I said, agreed. And then he says, LOL, if you knew the truth, you'd be one of those that couldn't accept it.
Okay,
like he automatically assumes that whoever this person is and or myself just don't believe in aliens at all. And then he goes on and on and on here saying,
well, maybe you're assuming that that's what he's assuming.
No, because that's what he's talking about. Because his whole comment is all about UFOs. It's all about, you're the reason the government doesn't want to disclose information about aliens. Because I can't accept it.
Well,
and then he goes on, we already have dozens of high-ranking government officials that have proved evidence proving aliens, aliens are real. But yeah, maybe they are real, and maybe I do believe in aliens. But now you want me to believe that aliens had something to do with this Las Vegas fucking shooting? Charles, really? Charles, if you're listening, hello?
Yeah. I don't... I ran into a good... do you follow any of the... Quinn Michaels, Jason Goodman,
yes,
Defango.
Loosely. No, I don't give a fuck about Defango, but I do follow a little bit of Jason Goodman, and I used to be subscribed to Quinn Michaels, and I saw the Quinn Michaels Jason Goodman interview in Las Vegas where he talked about blockchain. I thought that was really interesting. But so loosely, I'm not a big fan, but loosely paying attention.
Yeah. I'm I don't even, if I ever say I'm a fan of something, I probably just subconsciously misspeaking. But I do pay attention to that that discussion happening, and some of the drama that happened between them all. And I'm trying to figure out who's doing what, who's saying what. But there was this this part that stuck out to me. It was the idea of spoofing, right? That spoofing is a term now around a kind of disinfo or misinfo, right? So the whatever dude that you just showed, what was his name? About the Mandalay Bay, Aaron?
The YouTuber Charles
Yeah.
Walton.
Walton. Okay, Charles Walton. Right. So maybe he's a spoofer. Because something seems a little off in that retort. In the sense of almost like it's a scripted, prepared kind of retort. Like when somebody challenges you on this, just sort of straw man them, like you said, and say, you know, there's a whole alien thing. You don't even know. And if you knew, you'd be one of those guys that, you know, couldn't handle it. Come on. The whole space. I mean, there's a lot of unsophisticated people in this space, but there's a good amount of sophisticated analysts. But I guess the thing is, you never know who's who. You never know. Especially if you're new to them. It takes a little while to see if they're serious or not.
Catch a pattern. Yes, you need a pattern before you can really.
And then it's kind of problematic because I mean I don't know, I crack a lot of jokes and I make weird comments and I'm into really weird things and I entertain weird concepts and I could see if I was like more forward out there, a whole bunch of trolls coming out and saying, you know, not even saying it like this, like, you know, I may agree with 90% of what you're saying, but this one thing I'm going to attach to and I'm going to really bug you about it because now this discredits you, that you would even entertain this concept. I think I'm back to that idea of like, you would even entertain that? I mean, I don't think that we should be slapping each other around for entertaining concepts. I think we should slap each other around a little harder for like standing firm around a really ridiculous or outlandish concept and really, you know, pumping it and promoting it. If you really disagree with it, well then, you know, it's your prerogative to come out and sort of, you know, stand against the ridiculousness of it. But yeah, so it's all very tricky territory.
I like what Mad Pie Man said up here a few minutes ago. He said, "Hi, I'm full of shit. And the government sent me here to tell you that aliens are real. So there."
Yes.
And I think what Charles Walton is referring to is that that whole Stephen Greer press club, you know, military whistleblowers.
Yes, the disclosure
the Disclosure Project. And for me, the jury's still out on that one. What its degrees of legitimacy are. I tend to give some probability to a concept that that whole cadre was disinfo agents.
Could very well have been, yes.
Running a small operation or a side operation or testing the waters on things.
So we're to believe that an emergency room doctor with a multi-six-figure income drops everything to become the premier UFO disclosure guy who is now running around the world telling everybody that he was offered no less than $1 billion to stop doing what he's doing.
Yeah, that's just
he turned it down.
Yeah, when it starts sounding, when the claims come out and they're that fanciful, I think that's a tell.
Yes, I think so.
It's a tell. Now, what is it telling? That's a whole other, you know, there's a range of interpretations, but at least that's a tell. That should at least make you stop and go.
Things that make you go,
Yeah.
Yes.
What do I know? What do I believe?
I believe Tom DeLonge is nothing but a reincarnated version of Stephen Greer. Mm-hmm. Because Tom DeLonge, his story is very similar to Stephen Greer in many aspects, that he has information that they don't have, and he had secret meetings with high-ranking generals and CIA people, and they were shocked to know that he knew this and he knew that, and he was giving them an education, and somehow he can help them get the word out because they're stuck in a box. They've held this information for so long, they just can't let it out. And they need a way to let it out because they're so far ahead. They need to catch us up, and they can't release the information because it makes them all look like assholes. But then now they got Tom DeLonge, and he's cool, and he's young, and he's a rock star, and he can get the young crowd in. Get the fuck out of here.
Right.
Exactly.
We need a rock star to release this information. How about no?
So I'll say it like this. Do you all remember the show Bosom Buddies?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So who starred in that?
I don't know. I never saw it, but I think wasn't Tom Hanks in it?
That's
it
right.
It was Tom Hanks. It was
Tom Hanks and then some other dude, right? The other dude never ended up having a career, and Tom Hanks ended up having the career that he's had. And I don't know if you sort of go back in time and put yourself, however old you are or were, on the couch watching Bosom Buddies. Could you have ever predicted that Tom Hanks would have the career that he had?
Oh, I'll go. Are you making a point? Because I'll go you one better. How about?
Yeah, I'm making a point, and I think I can finish it up quickly. And which is, it makes me think of like the whole Tom DeLonge thing, the whole Mark Sargent thing. We look at some guys like David Wilcock, Corey Goode, that faction. It makes me think. If they were legit, they would have these larger audiences, right? Or something like this,
right?
And then but then there's these games of, well, but they don't have larger audiences because they're talking about such controversial stuff. Maybe they don't have large audiences because people still aren't awake, right? But it makes me want to land on this idea of like, people will take work where they can get it. Right, so Tom Hanks took the job of the character on Bosom Buddies because that job was available to him. Right, he wouldn't have wouldn't have kept climbing the ladder if he didn't take that job, or he may have ended up somewhere completely different, or maybe you never would have. He wouldn't have been the Tom Hanks that we all know and love right now. Which I think wasn't he like voted the most likable actor of present times or something like that?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I think that's.
Anyway, I'm just saying he has like really big status, right? He's a big move. Sure.
Yes.
I'm just using him as an example. But like, earlier in his career, he took the work where he could get it. So I'm looking at a lot of these folks in the sphere of like, they just took the job because that was the job available, right? A guy like, let's say David Wilcock, he now I think he's had some more success with Gaia and all of that, but he was, scraping along for a while. But I think he always thought that he should have bigger platforms, more audience. Bigger audience. But you can't just fabricate an audience out of thin air that way and then still have cred. So I think of a lot of these as like 15-year, 20-year, 30-year operations that they do with these folks. Because at some point they will ripen. I think that the plan was that they would ripen and come onto the scene, and then we have these controlled guys that everybody thinks were grassroots and legit and came up and took their lumps and now they're here because they took their lumps and all of this is true, right? So I think there's a bit of a gloss like that on the whole thing.
Yeah, when you were talking about Tom Hanks, you never would have thought that he would come out of Bosom Buddies and be the main actor he is. You immediately made me think of Keanu Reeves because like his first major role was Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Nobody ever expected that guy to be the actor he is.
Right.
But David Wilcock, Corey Goode, these guys. Now Tom DeLonge. If you ask me, it's like going to the mall and seeing every type of person that you can imagine, old, young, black, white, man, woman, gay, straight, liberal, conservative. You're going to get everything when you go to the mall. You're going to get ugly people, good-looking people, fat people, skinny people, crippled people, gymnasts. Everybody's there. It's like going to a big festival, a giant crowd. You're going to get everybody.
Well, no, you won't get everybody.
Now, my point is,
you won't get the people that don't go to the mall.
My point is that there are, you can certainly subdivide any crowd into, yes, these people are Christian, these people are Muslim, these people believe in aliens, these people trust CNN, right? So you've got all these multitudes of subdivisions of people. My point regarding Corey Goode, David Wilcox, Miles Johnson from the Basis Project, Tom DeLonge, these guys, they're pandering to the woo-woo crowd, the UFO woo-woo crowd.
Mm-hmm.
They want the woo-woo aspect of the ufology. They want the fanciful stories of abductions and people floating through walls, and the spiritual aspect of UFO.
There's definitely motifs that they play on. Yes.
Right. And there's so when it comes to ufology, there are people like, whatever, despite what you think of the guy, Richard Dolan. He's sort of I would call him an A-lister in terms of trustability, credibility. And then you've got guys like Corey Goode, and Miles Johnson, whose credibility is riding on thin ice. Do you know what I mean?
With you, right?
Well, yeah, with me, because I'm not into the woo-woo.
And others. I'm not trying to isolate.
That's my point.
Yeah, I'm not trying to isolate you.
So I'm into ufology. I'm into aliens and studying and learning what I can about, all these things. But I'm not sinking my teeth into the woo-woo aspects of these stories.
Right.
Did you either of you catch the latest X-Files? I know I mentioned it.
No, but Nancy did.
Okay, so this is episode 4 in the new series, right? In the reboot of X-Files. First one was god awful. Second one was pretty bad. Last week it was bad, but it had some hope. Finally, I would say this really felt like an old X-Files episode. They found the right sort of formula and the tone. It was satisfying to watch. I didn't walk away from this one, really disappointed, disgusted, right? And I mean, I grew up on X-Files, so that's been a big component in my life. Not that I took it
I've never been big into X-Files, but go ahead. I've never really been big into X-Files.
Yeah.
I enjoyed them back in the day when I used to watch the propaganda box.
So there was a good little trope in this episode where I won't give too much away or go into too much detail, but Mulder gets tied up with this guy who claims to have also started the X-Files with them, and it's almost like he's coming from a parallel universe, or like there's hints of the Mandela effect, except in his world it's called the Mengele effect. and they have these arguments about, you mean and in his world the Mengele effect became the Mengele effect because of a certain event, and in this world the Mandela effect is called the Mandela effect because of the Mandela Boomba. What was the guy's name? Anyway, the other African dude who died, then people thought
he died in prison.
Yeah, that one person.
Mandela.
Yeah.
People mistakenly thought he died in prison, which he didn't.
Yes. Yeah,
and so
they remember.
Go ahead.
Yeah, because they remember this other article about this other guy, this other African guy, and just like how weak those connections are in our brains is humorous to me. But he keeps talking about this, that they do this and they are planning this and this is what they are trying to do, right? But the little funny twist in the show is when he's saying they, he actually means a specific guy, and the guy is Dr. They, right? His name is Dr. They.
Oh, geez.
Oh,
That's not
geez.
confusing at all.
And his whole thing is that he's able to go into and change memories. That's the whole project that he's been working on in secret, and been affecting change that way in the world by changing people's memories, right? So it really like fractures all of those and remixes all of those topics of, you know, parallel or multi-universe, Mandela effect, and, you know, mind control, memory manipulation, memory insertion, that kind of a thing. But then Mulder has like a secret meeting with him that he may or may not have actually had in reality. And the guy talks about how we basically crossed the threshold to where it used to be like people had a relatively good grasp on what the truth and reality were, and then they knew that stuff was secret, but they didn't like when those secrets would come out, it would kind of make sense and they would be shocking, and they would realize the gravity of the secret of it all. But in this like post, it's like we turned a corner at some point, that where so many people sort of woke up that the concept now is to flood and put everything out there. So everything is true. There are no secrets anymore. And now it's a battle for control of whether you believe it or not. Right? That's the dance now. It's not whether it's true or not, because everybody now is just sort of assuming everything's either false or has ulterior, you know, angles to it. And then they have a suspension of disbelief as an automatic reaction. And then of course there's all the people that will just, you know, so gullible they'll believe anything every time. But was any of that clear? What I'm trying to say? Anyway, it's worth watching the episode. It was, and especially that little scene with Dr. They. And then I turned to my wife. I'm like, I love this guy. He thinks like I do. Like finally, you know, this is the stuff I've been saying of how the world works. And here, and my wife's just like, yeah, I know. I know.
Well, when you first started talking about Dr. They, I was just wondering if he was requiring people to use the proper gender pronoun.
Yeah, really. Gods. That is so dumb.
I think, you know, that's funny. I think that joke is actually in there as an inside joke. I didn't pick up on it, but I'm glad you did. That's funny. That's good. It's also
somehow. Now ask me if I'm surprised.
Yeah, really.
So, you guys want to have some more fun? I've got a CNN article I'd like to you know, the most trusted name in news, CNN. I would like to share another article.
Yeah, trusted.
The most trusted name in fake news.
Trusted to give us bullshit. Yep.
The most trusted name in fake news coming at you.
Awesome.
I'm ready.
Are you sure you're ready?
I don't know.
I am definitely ready.
Tighten your poopers. Okay. Here we go. First of all, do you know what a cuck is?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what a cuck is? Okay. For those who don't know what a cuck is, C-U-C-K, cuck. It's an emasculated man. And we have this term called cuckolding, which is a term for an emasculated man who has a female spouse or partner who cheats on him, and he is too weak-minded to tell her to fuck off, essentially. That's it in a nutshell. So here we have cuckolding. Now remember, cuckolder is a man who doesn't have the balls to leave his old lady when she's cheating on him or banging another guy. Okay? Cuckolding can be positive for some couples, study says. Look at this front page picture.
Mm-hmm.
That's not her brother. This is a chick running around with a boyfriend and a Mr., a second, a additional partner. CNN article, cuckolding can be a positive for some couples.
Oh, jeez.
In our current political climate, the term cuck, short for cuckservative, has become an insult of the so-called alt-right, aimed at men they view as spineless and emasculated. The slur at its roots in the concept of cuckolding or having an adulterous partner. But according to a recent study by David Lay, who just recently got laid by his wife and his wife's partner.
Right.
Maybe David Lay is a cuckolder as well, and it's all he can do to get laid. How funny. David Lay. We're talking about having sex. David Lay. But according to a recent study by David Lay, Justin Lee Miller, and the writer Dan Savage, acting on cuckolding fantasies can be a largely positive experience for many couples and hardly a sign of weakness.
Oh, brother.
Look, you guys, if they have not fucking taken the last testicle off of every male in this Western world of ours, here it is. This is their last attempt to take the last testicle off of the last male in the world. References to cuckolding appear in literature as early as the 13th century, usually in the form of male characters who fear that their child has been sired by another man during an act of infidelity. Today, however, cuckolding has become fetishized into a powerful sexual fantasy for some men. Well, that may be true for some men, but like the transgender, they're such a extreme minority.
I was going to say.
They're 0.0001%.
Yeah.
Oh, you'd be surprised. I think, well, you can't have it both ways. Aaron, you can't have it both ways, right? I think on the one hand, you're saying, you know, this article represents the taking of the last testicle from the last man, right? So that they're already here, but then you're sort of saying that this like only 0.001% of men are like this. So I don't know, which one is it?
I'm saying that there's a tiny shred of truth to that statement. That it is a fantasy of some men to watch their wife or girlfriend get banged by another guy.
Yeah,
trying to normalize.
No, I'm actually
partners.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement in that this sort of is a sideshow to the agenda. That if you took an honest assessment, there's not gonna be a whole lot of guys that are gonna be like, yeah, that's my thing.
Right, and after reading this article,
it really goes against biology. So the fact that they're trying to get, you know, it from 0.00 whatever percent up to, you know, 0.005, and that's going to be a huge success because they'll, you know, 10x that tiny fraction of the population. Although I don't know which one it is. I
can tell you from
go ahead.
I can tell you from a little bit of personal experience that the rest of this sentence is fucking bullshit.
Okay.
It says today, however, cuckolding has become fetishized into a powerful sexual fantasy for some men who get aroused by the idea of their romantic partner engaging in sex with someone else. Women also share this fantasy, but less so than men. I'm calling bullshit on that.
Yeah, As a woman, I have never met a woman that thought, gee, I'd love it if my husband would go off and get involved with another woman.
Well,
Never
I have.
once.
Well, I have.
I'm just saying I've never encountered it.
Well, I have.
Hey, we gotta do a show that's all just sex topics, I think.
Must we?
No,
Yeah.
well, no, we don't have to. No,
Really?
Well, Bart, if we do, it'll
Well,
be
there-
over in 3 seconds.
But then again, wait, no, let me pull out
Let
that.
me pull out.
Let me pull out that proposal, because actually, I'm not actually ready to make all of my sexual fantasy is of being able to freely express all of my ideas around sex with no repercussions whatsoever. That would be no. Never mind. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that at all. At least not on this format.
Yeah. I'm thinking I should write a spoof article I should write a spoof article to counter this.
Go for it.
Because we're talking about this guy here, this author, what's his first name? David Lay. This sentence right here says, quote, "This fantasy has been around as long as marriage and sexuality," said Lay. And that just immediately made me think of like a counter argument where another scientist says he doesn't get Lay. He doesn't get Lay.
That's Lay D period.
I'm getting really hot here, so I'm gonna be right back.
Bart.
Oh dear.
Oh, Bart's got more paperwork to fill.
Yep, I'm thinking.
So, reading on, it says, indeed, the numbers suggest that. What numbers? The number, it doesn't even say that here's the study and we talked to these men and here's the people that produced the study.
Yep.
Oh, well, actually it does. A little bit further on, it says, Lee Miller surveyed thousands of Americans and found that 58% of men and about a third of women had fantasized about cuckolding. Bullshit. Let me just repeat that.
That's
bullshit.
Yes. Where's Arnold when you need him?
Yeah, bullshit.
Bullshit.
Bullshit. Get to the chopper.
No, I cannot. This
58?
is what I think they did. They surveyed a whole lot of people
in San Francisco,
and then threw out percentage of the responses, making up some reason. Well, we can't use this one.
Either that or they went to Bart's neighborhood out in California.
Yeah. I guess.
Bart seems to think that these guys are crawling out of the woodwork out there, and maybe they are, man. I've only been there a couple of times briefly, but I mean,
I'm thinking about the difference between being cuckolded and being in a threesome. Okay, do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know. I've known women who were perfectly okay with them being with their partner with another woman.
Right.
But that's not what I think of when I think of cuckolding. Is, see ya, honey, I'm off to screw so-and-so, Basically, that's what cuckolding is. Because it says, even in the article there, that it had to do with the fear that their partner had been unfaithful. Obviously, it wasn't their fear that they'd been faithful while they were around. They'd know one way or another, but that it was something that took place without them being present, and that is cuckolding.
Here's an interesting this next paragraph down here. First of all, here, let me get to the first paragraph. He says, men are more likely to fantasize about cuckolding, and they do it more often. Bullshit. Bullshit. But there are a number of women who have these fantasies as well, which points to the need for more research.
Right. What?
Holy
how
shit.
does that point to a need for more research?
I don't know, but holy crap, government! Somebody, quick, give this guy a government grant.
Yeah,
he
really.
needs $600,000 to complete his survey research.
Yeah, hey, you know, give him $1 million and he can get it all done, I guess.
The next paragraph, initially viewed as a heterosexual phenomenon, it's increasingly prevalent among gay men too. Yeah, I would imagine that be the case. In fact, I would suggest that the 58% number that they came up with in the other paragraph probably came from the gay community. Probably entirely.
Yes.
Okay, enough of this fucking bullshit. Makes me sick.
Yeah, let's
fucking
move on.
Pussies.
Let's move on.
I'm so sick of the propaganda. You can't imagine.
Oh, I can imagine, because I'm about as sick as you are. I'm willing to bet. Willing to bet.
Let's see. So what else do we have here? Oh, the chat's having a good old time. Yeah, world peas. Lay. His name was Lay.
And when I first read Lee Miller, I read it Lay Miller.
That's what I read too. Yeah, Lay Miller. It's like they're doubling up on the get laid.
And
it's neuro-linguistic programming is what that is. It's loaded.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, it's like, just fucking grow a pair and tell the bitch to fuck off. I mean, look, if you got a fetish, enjoy yourself. But
yes,
leave the articles at home. We don't want to hear about it.
Exactly.
You're not encouraging people to do it more often just because CNN says it's okay by writing a fucking article. And
yep.
I'm thoroughly fucking sick of the disgusting liberal communistic social engineering everywhere I look.
Well, what they want us to do is feel badly because we don't fall into this obviously normal category.
Oh fuck,
right?
yeah, we're haters and bulliers.
Yeah, there's something wrong with us. We've got to feel that in our gut because we're not that way. And
right.
it would winds up being, 90% or usually substantially more than that don't fall into that category. But they want us to think that we're in the minority.
Yeah, and they want us to have a guilt complex to boot.
Exactly.
Lady Zaga, hashtag take back your balls.
I like that. Awesome.
Yep. Hashtag take your balls back. Hashtag give me my balls. How about dude, where's my balls?
Hey, I have a video called "Do You Have the Balls?"
I'm guessing you didn't get the reference. There's a stupid, silly B movie called "Dude, Where's My Car?"
Oh, I vaguely recall hearing about that. Okay. I never did see it.
I'm still sharing that. It didn't. Here
yep, you're still sharing.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
Hashtag hand off my balls. Hands off my balls.
Hand them off to whom? Oh, hands off my balls. Okay, we're good. Oh dear.
Well, I've got literally just one other little tidbit of a note I wanted to go over regarding the government shutdown. You notice how that happened on a Friday, and we were pretty much back up and running on Monday.
Yes, it was such a farce. I just went meh when it happened. Like, I think we'd be better off without it, but you know, it'll be back far too quickly. And I was right.
Well, isn't it enough that our dutiful and faithful congressmen and women have worked tirelessly to fix the government shutdown problem, and they came up with a solution to fund the government for a whopping, wait for it, 3 more weeks.
Yeah, it's all to build up the fear and tension.
Let me just get this straight. Are we that fucking broke?
Well, here's the thing.
I think I know what you're going to say. They attached it to the DACA bill, and there's other pork stuff that nobody wants to agree to, and that's the crux of it, yada, yada, yada. The Democrats are holding hostage the government, blah, blah, blah. I've heard it all.
Yeah, but that's all part of the play, you know? I mean, it's their corporation. They own it. They own the Federal Reserve. They can pump in money anytime they want.
Yeah.
But of course they don't.
Yeah, of course. And isn't it interesting that, and there are articles, and I'll show you if you don't believe me, I know you do, but Mike Pence, there's an article, and I swear to God, I think it's from the Israel Times. This says that Mike Pence went to Israel to beg for money. So that we can put it in.
I hadn't seen that, but oh, jeez. What? The script is just getting weirder and weirder.
Yeah, let me go look for it. Yeah, Mike Pence.
No, I do believe that because, let's see, we're giving them how many gazillions a day? And then we have to
$7 million a day.
And we have to go beg them for money. Right.
Uh-huh.
Why? How about we're not going to pay you anymore because we need the money? Oh, no, that won't work, I guess. Oh.
Yeah, I think I found it right here. Mike Pence visits to Israel delayed. Where did it go? Mike Pence, U.S. Embassy will move to Jerusalem 2019. U.S. Embassy moved planned unrest. Mike Pence, faith Israel East policy. Where did it go? I swear I saw this article that said Mike Pence was begging Israel for money for the...
Maybe it's one of those stories they threw out there and then pulled back off.
Pardon me while I type. Mike Pence is making his 4th visit to Israel, returning to a region he's visited, quote, 1 million times in his heart. An evangelical Christian with strong ties to the Holy Land.
Oh, good grief.
That whole angle is very, very interesting.
Pence says troops should not have to worry about shutdown. Pence says troops should. I don't know. I can't find it. I swear to God, I saw this, and you might be right. Maybe it was one of those articles where they put it up and then they yank it.
Or it could have been a dream. You ever read articles in your dreams, and then
yes,
and then you think they're real, and then you go looking for them?
No, I don't. But
Well,
I mean, I might,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't get as far as thinking they're real because I don't remember.
I was gonna say me either. That's actually never happened to me that I know of.
No, I can't find it.
So let's see. World peas
You know,
and blue.
I did think it was interesting that this date of 3 weeks that the government had finally figured out how to finance themselves for 3 more bloody weeks.
Yes.
Now, I might screw this up. Is it February 8th or February 18th when the Winter Olympics starts? Does anybody remember?
I don't know. Let me look it up.
Because bottom line, it's the same day.
So there's a lot of ball licking commentary happening in the chats, and
yeah, they're having a ball in the chat.
Yeah, but it started making me think of like political cucking. Well, I think that's how it's been used in a sense. But like, I wonder how developed that is in terms of these actors that play politicians out on the stages. How many of them are actually living out cucking fantasies with each other in terms of like, how can I? But in this grander sense of like, I'm married to my contingency, yet I want my contingency to sleep with this other politician, and I'm going to enjoy watching my contingency get screwed by somebody else. You see what I'm saying?
That's a good analogy.
It's kind of deep.
No, actually, you might be onto something there because they're all creepy cultist bastards, and they like that kind of shit.
Yep.
Right. So this is like this bizarre fetishized sexuality that's played out in political arenas, but right in front of our faces, and we don't even know what we don't get what the motivations are, and what games are being played. That's all
right. Well, apparently, 2018 Winter Olympics starts officially on Friday, February 9th.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I pulled it up, February 9th to February 25th.
So, February 9th. Now, are we talking about our time or their time? Because it's in Seoul, right? It's in Korea, right? Pyongyang.
Right.
So, February 9th for them is going to be February 8th for us, which is the day that the government is supposed to redo the government funding bill.
Oh, joy. Oh, joy.
What a nice, lovely day to pick. Nothing to see here, people. It's just a coincidence. Move along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's always a main show and a side show. And I think sometimes it's about getting people to pay attention to the main show and sometimes to the side show.
Well, I want to move on to one more topic, unless you guys want to add something to the ridiculous government shutdown. Fear.
So, well, I'll add this, is that I guess I've heard some mutterings about it, but I found that it doesn't affect me in my day-to-day life, whether the government is working or not. So I don't know. I think there's a deeper idea in there. It's like if people were to stop and think about, what did the last couple of weeks look like for you? Did it make a single bit of difference that the government was not working, that they weren't doing anything, and yet my life changed not at all? And then I think that kind of goes on to the idea of, well, what if it shut down forever? Would things really?
Would we really have a problem?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I suppose a whole lot of arguments can be made both ways.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it'd be interesting to have the discussion, because they certainly, the way that they, you know, craft the narrative is that it's some sort of a tragedy that the government is shut down. Well, I think, didn't this happen a couple of years back too, where they couldn't agree on it, and the government, yeah,
it's happened almost every year in the last 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, yeah. So, what up with that?
It's all part of the script.
Well, maybe if we didn't give Israel $38 billion a year, equaling $7 million a fucking day, maybe we could afford to pay for some shit around here.
Yeah, except that you know that the corporation has no interest in paying for things around here if it doesn't make them money.
Maybe if we didn't have 700, 800, or 900 military bases all around the world, maybe if we, you know, took back a few of them bases, maybe we could pay for some shit around here. Anyway, Bart, I want to ask you, you were sick, what was it, last week or the week before? Did you actually have the flu? Do you know for sure? Well,
I had a flu-like thing. I assume it was some variation on the flu. I'm a hardcore vaccinator guy, right? So, I mean, I got my vaccine. Yeah, yeah. So I got my vaccine, and then, you know, maybe I didn't get it fast enough because I got sick right after.
Or maybe
no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's all a joke.
I was just going to say, I don't think so. I think he's pulling our leg.
No, I would never get the flu vaccine because it gives you the flu. It's dumb. It's dumb to get the flu vaccine.
Yep.
But where else are you going to get your mercury?
And God knows what else.
The FDA requires you to have a certain amount of mercury every year.
And formaldehyde and aluminum and human albumin and stem cells and monkey. Yes.
and ground up monkey kidney.
Did you say monkey poo? You get it? Monkey poo? Dr. Monkey Poo?
Yes.
Monkey pee, monkey poo.
Nice.
But
now we're getting to the good humor.
Okay, well, I want to play an excerpt from John Rappaport, one of my favorite researchers in the world. And he is on Fade to Black Radio, in case anybody would like to catch him on Thursdays. John Rappaport does a 30-minute spiel every Thursday on Jimmy Church, Fade to Black Radio. And it is always, always, always worth listening to. And I'm certainly not going to play 30 minutes, but I do want to play a couple of minutes where he is discussing a study that was done. Now, granted, this is a 2001 study, but just listen to these numbers, if you will. Okay, now these numbers, these are straight from the CDC, and let me know if I need to turn the volume up or anything, but check this out for a few minutes. Listen to this.
The second thing is that somebody with an independent lab should examine the flu vaccine for this season and see exactly what's in it. I mean, down to the bottom line molecules to find out the possibility that the flu vaccine has been making a number of people sick. Some of these flu vaccines, for example, still contain mercury, a known major league neurotoxin and other types of toxin in the body, mercury. Also to keep in mind, major media stories have indicated that this year's flu vaccine, according to their standards, and I underline that, is only about 10% effective. At the same time, we see articles appearing now where there is a rush to create a universal flu vaccine that they say would be bulletproof in protecting people from every kind of flu, no matter what the current virus is of the season, no matter what variety of flu virus we're talking about. And I would just point out, it's very convenient that we have this conjunction this year, which on the one hand, well, this year's flu vaccine is really very, very ineffective. Oh, but look, we're researching like mad to create this super duper universal flu vaccine that will, quote, protect everybody from every kind of flu. Makes great promotion for the universal flu vaccine. So, some of this information that I'll now present, I presented before, but you can look at it in a new light because now we're talking about what experts and media and government are calling a massive flu outbreak across the United States. For example, in the British Medical Journal, and my articles on this give the exact citation, the author Peter Doshi analyzed CDC statistics for flu deaths in the year 2001. How many people died from the flu in the U.S.? And so the official report from the CDC was 62,034 deaths from the flu in 2001. However, the CDC doesn't simply list flu, it lists flu plus pneumonia as one category. So when they might loosely refer to flu deaths, they're really talking about flu plus pneumonia. How does this break down statistically? Well, again, Doshi, looking at the CDC statistics for 2001, discovered that the CDC itself was talking about 60 only 257 flu deaths in 2001. The rest were all pneumonia, not caused by the flu virus. Only 257. And of those 257, only 18 cases existed in which the flu virus was actually identified. So, according to their rules of the game, in the year 2001, the CDC could only assuredly say that 18 people died of the flu. That's quite incredible. Let me break that down for you again. The year 2001, 62,034 deaths from flu plus pneumonia, of which only 257 were the flu, and of those, only 18 cases could be really said with certainty to be the flu, because that's the number in which the flu virus was identified. That should give everybody pause for thought.
You know what? In my world, 60,000 is pretty much the same as 18. So,
yeah, but statistically speaking, you know, you've got 300 million people, and even if you took the 65,000 number, that is such a small percentage of the population that statistically it's nil. No one has died
well,
from
I think
the combination. Yeah, I mean, statistically.
Well, it makes me think of all of these supposed outbreaks that happen that are pandemic and very, very dangerous and very extreme, and then they trot out what 5 people tops that have died from the thing, yet it's, you know, it was on every TV station, every radio station had a thing about it. Every newspaper had some articles about it. And I mean, I get what you're saying, Amy, about 60, but we're talking about, okay, 60 is substantial though, right? Like 60 is, you know, filling up a sports stadium, and then you go, okay, imagine all those people dead. All right, that's a chunk of people, right? Even if you're talking, if you're comparing it against the whole population of the country, but when you're talking about 5, 18, 20 people, and yet it's getting the kind of coverage that you would expect from some sort of a tragedy that took 1 million lives. That's when you gotta like shake your head and go, they're doing it again. They're playing these silly games, and then people are falling for it. We're talking about, you know, 5 people dying of Ebola. And it's like Ebola's coming to the United States, and it was like, okay, no, this was some researcher who was out in the jungles of Ghana or the Congo, and then they got on a plane, and then they got sick on the plane, and now it's coming to the United States. It's like the leaps of logic really are stretching credibility.
Yeah.
So far.
Just so you know, I did the calculation using 310 million people, which there's about that, give or take several million in our country. And 65,000 people is 0.021%.
That's pretty small.
Okay, that's like I said, statistically, it's nil.
How many people die every year from car accidents in this country?
Oh, hundreds of thousands.
Oh, and medical malpractice. That's my favorite one.
Yes, medical malpractice.
Yeah. The medical industry is responsible for more deaths than all things combined.
Right.
Yep.
Which is like kind of like the opposite of what they claim to do. So I love being in opposite land and realizing it, and then being baffled by how many people don't realize that we live in opposite land.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I love it, but I know.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I know you're being sarcastic, but
no, not really. I kind of have a dark sense of humor like that. Maybe it's because I'm Polish, but
I love it when you make a good Polish joke.
and sausage.
I am a good Polish joke. I'm a walking Polish joke.
Okay.
When I was a kid, whenever people would find out I was Polish, they would try to tell me Polish jokes. And it kind of got annoying to me at one point, not because I was offended, but it just started getting boring. And so what I did was I started collecting Polish jokes so that whenever anybody tried to tell me one, I'd let them say the front part, and then I would just blurt out the punchline. And it kind of, it was my way of messing with them. Oh yeah, go ahead. I've never heard that one. And then so they could see the old Polish Navy. You know that one, right? Why does the Polish Navy have glass bottom boats? So they can see the old Polish Navy.
Oh.
Well, one of these days you can tell me all your Polish jokes. I'm sure we'll get a kick out of it.
Have a Polish joke night.
Yeah. That'll definitely be worth everybody's time. Yes.
About just a joke night, because I've got a few jokes that my dad told me.
Yeah. You know what? Tonight's been such a fun. Yeah. You know what I just realized? We don't have a guest. I'm kidding. I realized it a while. No, I realized it a while.
No, actually, we do. You've just been ignoring him.
But we are having fun tonight, and this has been a really fun show. So, I say, tell your joke, Amy.
I agree. Got a whole list of them. It has to be a joke night.
Okay.
All right. You want to hear a good one? You probably haven't heard.
Okay. All right. I'll tell one.
Okay.
You're gonna break it. Tell a joke. I'll have to slap you. All right. I'm gonna tell my one joke. Okay. Jesus and St. Peter are walking along the beach. It's the second coming, and they're having a hard time convincing people that this is JC. And JC and Peter are talking to each other, and JC says, what can I do? What can I do? And Peter's thinking about it. He says, I know. Why don't you walk out there on the water, and that'll prove it, and everybody will believe. And he goes, St. Peter, that is just an excellent idea. So he goes trudging along and just blub, 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 sinks right down. People are watching him going, huh? Okay. And he comes out pulling a bit of seaweed out of his hair, and he says, St. Peter, it didn't work. And St. Peter says, I know. I don't know what the problem is. Well, try it again. It was probably just a fluke. Go on, walk out. And more people are looking and watching, and JC goes marching out to the water, blub, 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 sinks again. He comes out pulling a flounder out of his chest piece and says, St. Peter, something's is going on. What is it? And St. Peter's going, I don't know. Well, they say third time's a charm, try it again. JC walks out, blub, 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 sinks, comes back, and he's just in a tizzy now. And St. Peter's going, there's got to be something. And then he goes, I know what it is. The last time you didn't have the holes in your feet.
Oh.
Sorry. Okay. All right.
No. It's good. It's that one. Alan's really making me think.
All right, I got one. We're gonna end the night on a good note. I got a good joke. I bet you haven't heard.
Okay.
Guy goes to the doctor. He's got a pain in his arm, and goes in for an exam. The doctor's not there, but the nurse says, "Listen, we have this new device. It's a machine, and it's a little bit unorthodox." But you may want to give it a try. It's got a fantastic, diagnosis record. So the guy agrees, and he goes in the back, and the nurse gives him a vial, and she says, all I need from you is a urine sample. Okay, skeptical, the guy goes into the bathroom. He fills up the little vial and comes back and gives it to the nurse, and she sticks it in the machine. She turns it on. The machine whirls and hums, and it spits out a computer card that says, you have tennis elbow, requires 3 weeks of therapy. And the guy scratches his head, and he can't believe it. And he wants a second opinion. And so the nurse says, okay, well, I'll tell you what, the doctor's going to be out all week. Why don't you come back on Monday, and we'll do the same thing again. And she gives him a vial to take home this time. And she says, you just, pee in the vial and bring it back and give it to me. So he goes home, and over the weekend, he gets a little clever idea. He's going to have his 16-year-old daughter. He's going to try to fool the machine. So he gets his 16-year-old daughter to fill the vial. She pees in it, fills it up, gives it to him. And he's about to get into his car. And he decides, I'm going to pop the hood, and I'm going to drop a few drops of motor oil in this vial to really give the machine a hard time. And so he does, and he pulls the dipstick, and he puts a couple of drops in there, motor oil, shakes it up, gets in his car, and just before he starts the engine, he gets another clever idea. He runs back into the house, and he masturbates into the jar, into the vial. Okay? So then, He's satisfied. He goes to the doctor. He gives the nurse the vial. She puts it in the machine. She turns it on. It whirls. It hums. It spits out a computer card that says, your 16-year-old daughter is pregnant. Your car is 30,000 miles overdue for a tune-up, and if you don't stop jerking off, you'll never get rid of that tennis elbow.
I think I'd heard that before, but it had been a while, and I couldn't remember the exact ending.
Nice, good one.
But I'd say it would be nice if we had machines like that, eh?
And then we would have proper diagnosis.
Yeah, really, we'd actually get diagnosed. Absolutely.
Those are the kind of jokes I like that refer to something that happened 3 hours ago.
Well,
okay.
I got all right, I'll give you one more, and it's super short. You ready? It's question form. What's it take to circumcise a whale?
Guts.
Bart, you want to try?
I've heard this one, but I don't remember.
What's it take to circumcise a whale?
What does it take?
4 skin divers.
Okay. Okay. Everybody in the chat.
Yeah, guys, it's been fun.
There's too many to list, y'all. But I love you, every single one of you.
I got a good one.
All right.
Uh-oh.
Finish us off, Bart. Make it a good one.
Okay. Mr. Turtle was walking through the park one day when he was just viciously, brutally attacked by a gang of teenage snails. and the police arrived on the scene, and to do the interview with Mr. Turtle, and they said, "Mr. Turtle, can you tell us what happened?" And he said, "I don't know. It all happened so fast."
I knew that was coming.
I think that's my favorite joke of all time.
Why do elephants wear tennies? For those who don't know what tennies are, they're gym shoes, tennis shoes. They were called tennies.
Trainers, for those of you in the UK.
Yeah.
All right. Why do elephants wear tennies?
Sneakers.
I think I've heard this, but go ahead. Bart,
Because you want to guess?
I think they don't, but I'm a realist. but I get that this is a joke, so I'll buy it. Yeah, why?
Because 9's are too small and 11's are too big.
Yeah, all right. I like it.
Oh,
Oh no!
That's my daddy's joke. You better like it.
I love the corny stuff. I love the corny stuff. Why did the old bum die? He had a fart attack. Malt liquor.
all right, you guys. I think that'll do. Oh, look who
this one. Okay, this one was
funny.
Ladies. Wait, did anybody see Lady Zaga's joke? I just wanted to check. An American tourist asks a Newfoundlander, "Why do scuba divers always fall backwards off their boats?" To which the Newfoundlander replies, "If they fell forwards, they'd still be in the fucking boat." That's really good. That's a good one. Thank you. That one has Polish joke written all over it. I suspect that was changed to Newfoundland.
I'm going to look up. All right,
It had other origins.
I'm going to look up Polish jokes the next time you and I talk. You better be ready. I'm going to hit you.
I'm ready.
I'm going to search for one that you haven't heard.
Oh, bring it on. Bring it, girl. Girlfriend.
All right, you guys. Well, I hope you appreciate what we're doing. We had a little bit of fun tonight. We covered some shit. Thanks, everybody, for being in the chat. You guys, Amy and Bart, any final thoughts?
Love always.
We're all doomed.
Yeah. Well,
I think, Amy, I think that could be our thing, right? Love always. We're all doomed, right?
Could be.
That
well,
that could be a thing. Aaron, you got to have a third part. You got to have a.
I'm going to need you to repeat that because at least for me, you totally broke up.
Oh, well, you could be the straight man. You know, any last thoughts? And every time we say,
Love always.
love always, we're all doomed. And
Okay.
and that's it.
I'll
We always end like that. I think that's best. Just, I'm putting my foot down. This is how it needs to be from here on out.
Either that or you'll ask for a raise.
Yeah. Or I'll divest. I'll divest from the show. I'll pull out all my shekels.
Oh, I love you guys. I love you.
Well, I'll probably always fall back on the pick up your trash meme. So, you know, I do like the way that Vinny Eastwood has coined the term. He says, and I'm going to paraphrase. I hope I don't get it too far off. He says, just because we're all being exterminated doesn't mean we can't make it fun. Otherwise, what's the point of being killed?
Yep. Love it.
Yes.
Love it.
All right. Much love, everybody. Pick up your trash. Even though the end of the world is nigh, the least we could do is leave the place better than we found it. So be part of the solution and not part of the problem. And we will catch you guys next week. Bye, everybody.
Which he does that.